So usually I have like another screen that I put at the beginning. But again, because Streamlabs doesn't work very well with Mac, in this case I can't. It's just gonna cause a few issues. So
Gotcha.
let's link the stream.
I'm gonna try and pull up the chat on my other monitor.
I did this on my phone. I think that should work. Boom. Should I put it on the Design Maps channel too?
Oh, nice.
Should I or no?
Oh, you can. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Might as well.
Okay.
It's a design map stream, right?
Okay. Look at that. We got Fluffy here. Welcome, Fluffy.
Welcome, welcome.
We got Habits as well. Map community.
You know, I do feel a little bit trolled. The very first map you brought up is an iLease map.
Oh.
I don't know if that was coincidence or not, but I feel like I'm in for some trolling.
Nah. Me trolling?
And not even just an iLease map. Like, this is a spicy one too.
Really? I mean, it's kind of like a regular crazy mixed base.
I don't know. Look at those ports up in the top right and those labs. Oh yeah.
I mean, have you played it?
No, I remember iLease showed me this one in Design Maps. He pinged me about it. If I remember right, this is one where he had like the idea of a base trade, and then after the base trade, it would continue again and be like actually interesting. So that's where the idea is you're supposed to like, kill that base, the center one, and then it would turn into a new mixed base. So like, yeah.
Yeah, so
maybe
like,
not new mixed base.
Yeah, like a normal base, like an unmixed base, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Right, but actually like a feasible map instead of just a stalemate like most of them turn into. I remember he showed me this and I was like, I don't know what you're doing, iLease. Looks insane.
Yeah, like this base trades, like red comes here and takes over this, and then it becomes like this big standoff. I've never seen a game really go much past that, like a big standoff, maybe a little fight, but there's always one that's a little bit more ahead than the other, and the other one just concedes because like, yeah, whatever, I'm just not gonna go through this.
So have you seen this map in specifically or just in general, this type?
Oh no, I've played this one. I've died to Star Flash.
Gotcha. So you succumb to the iLease map shilling.
Yeah. But like you said, it was very spicy, and I don't know. You have End of Entropy, I don't know, Caustic Finale. Like there's a lot of. Oh, and even like the one that's 3 bases that's used that doesn't have a com tower, has no roads, Darkling Threshold, something like that.
Oh yeah. You're not talking about iLease maps anymore. You're talking about the classics.
Yeah, I'm just talking about mixed base. No.
Yeah, when I said it was spicy, I was just looking at like, I've never actually seen it play. I was just looking at the terrain choices and the build-in choices. It's very iLease.
What makes it Elise?
Like, well, the 3 ports within like 10 tiles of each other for starters. The airport right next to them with the pipe seam, that's super iLease. Mixed base in general, he loves that. The one thing it doesn't have is the trademark. At least you have to, in order to get to the front, go on this winding 20 tile path filled with forests and other heavy terrain that when you look at the map, you can't actually parse the terrain paths. That's like a classic, at least staple.
I mean, you sort of have that here with this base. Can have to go through these. There's this like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movement with a tank that it's better to go here so you can actually like, I don't know, reach stuff. Those little 5
normally
are really annoying.
On a usual at least map, he would close off the end of that little passage with like a C tile. And then you just cry.
Oh, look, speak. we talk about Elisa and he's here.
All right, hide the chat.
Welcome everyone.
Delete the records.
I'm not sure if you're looking at the chat, Walker.
Occasionally, when you see me look off to the side, that's what I'm doing. I have it up on my second screen, but it's a little out of the way.
Okay.
I'll check on it from time to time. But
So
you're in charge of reading chat comments.
Yeah. So we have Fluffy, we have Habits, Cookie Lamb, Daddy Maxac, Lore, Astanar, Disc, Elise. Very nice. Welcome everyone.
I see that Habits is telling me that this map is actually in Global League.
Yeah, it is.
So that shows you how much I have to do with Global League rotations these days.
Yeah, it has actually been in the Global League for a while now.
I'm all about that live league these days. Global League's old news.
I mean, this could never be in Live League. It's way too much. It's way too complicated. There's a lot of income too.
Yeah. 4-base maps in general are pretty bad for live league.
True.
A lot of clicks.
I mean, mixed base is very complicated for Live League as well.
Yeah. By the way, I just wanted to say before we started, you might be too young on AWBW to recognize this, but I wore this shirt specifically. Real OGs, that'll mean to them.
What is it?
I used to have that as my, it used to be my profile picture for years and years, like this exact insignia.
Wait, that's your YouTube, like
yeah.
little, yeah. That's why
that was my Discord profile for a while. So
like,
just a nice little tribute. I thought it was appropriate to bring it up.
Where did you get that shirt?
So it's our local basketball team, Phoenix Suns. This is like one of the, it's like a Dia de los Muertos take on it. But the one I had is like a flaming gorilla because the logo for the mascot for the team is a gorilla. So that was my profile picture for a while. But this is the closest I could get on a shirt.
Nice. Yeah, Advanced Sports by Web, Lore. There you have it.
Specifically AWBW Discord lore. The best type of AWBW lore.
What year was the Discord set up, actually?
In 2017. It was early 2017. And that was, like, the Discord was before I started development on the site, which was later in 2017.
Oh.
It was very dead at the time. There were like 15 people on Discord.
Playing? No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally, I know this is off topic from map design.
Yeah.
It's tangentially related.
It's fine.
Literally, the way that the
intro.
Discord was advertised, they advertised the Discord. It was Mary Guartana, Lord on the website, and Infernus Machine. They advertised it by posting in map comments on new maps that they would make. Like they'd make a map, and in the map comments, it would be like, join our Discord server. And then they would make games on that map, and in the comments, they'd be like, join our Discord server. And like, that's how they advertised. Because there was no forum, like there was no other way to tell people they made a server.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So Discord, started in the map comment.
Yeah, the map comments are a world of their own, no?
It used to be like the site message boards were like map comments. There's just like discussions and conversations going on. If you look at old maps, good time. I miss that.
I wonder if this one still has. I mean, it does have quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, these days it's just people complaining.
True.
There was that in the past too, but there were also like fun comments in between. Now it's just all complaints. I did see an 11 out of 10 though, right there in the map comments. That's rare. Yeah, you have to scroll down a little ways.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There we go.
Look at that, adept.
Immediately followed by a negative 11 out of 10, so I guess it cancels out. Like, only on map comments you get awful map, and then right below it, one of the best maps.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like 90% is usually like, I don't like this map. This map is horrible. How could this ever be Global League? And then there's like one every 9 or every 10 that is like, this map is awesome.
Yeah, usually that one comment is colored blue.
True. You know, there's also the classic comment that doesn't like the map. It's like, what's with this map committee that hates naval units with these ports surrounded by shoals?
Yeah. I don't actually hate naval units. I hate players. So it's personal. I do it just to annoy you. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Kind of.
It's funny. I mean, here we have one port that can move out, and two that can actually. You could actually have naval warfare here. You got a battleship here. You have a sub here.
Elise is of the people. He knows what the people want.
Did you see the latest map he made?
No. Is it like 60 tiles wide?
Yeah. It's like a.
Fair warning.
It's like
I'm on record in the chat. Sorry, I cut you off.
No,
I'm on record
go
in the chat that if you show me a Death Lord map, I'm dropping out of the stream. So fair warning.
Okay. Let's try to keep Walker in the stream. So we'll
I
avoid.
think I saw the one you're talking about.
You
I
did?
saw it.
It's the DLC of Azure Blue. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah. 7 Cs. My eyes still hurt actually. I don't know if you can see the blood anymore, but.
Okay. Should we start with a map? Should we look at a map?
I don't know what else to start with. You know, you're leading this train, so I'm just along for the ride.
So you taught me how to do this yesterday. Let's see if I remember.
You heard that right, everyone. I taught a map committee member how to use the search maps function. We have a lot of training to be in the map committee.
So you only want to do standard? Is that like the one that you feel the most confident for like looking at?
So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't play fog. Every attempt that I've done at a fog map, generally fog players have hated. So I feel like I'm not really qualified to talk about fog maps anymore. We can try one if you want, but you're gonna have to teach me, not the other way around.
I don't know about that. Let's just do standard for now. Let's look at one standard. So what was it? Sorted by last published.
Yep.
I think this should work.
Yeah. So on this right now, I've actually been going through. I cleared out all of the ones that are 22 by 22 and down. So that's why you're seeing all of these are bigger.
Oh yeah, I mean
So if you want to filter that, then we can just look at some smaller ones.
We can look at some potential live play maps. Let's do that. It's a good idea.
Also, pro tip for you and anyone watching: if you click search, you don't have to go back. If you just go up to your search options and click show hide.
Oh,
nope,
here.
not there. Right there.
Oh, look at that. I had not seen that. Nice.
And if you didn't see that, probably 90% of people using this page didn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay, so first one out of the list, we have this one.
Go for it.
Let's see.
Ghost units, immediately disqualified.
Yeah. Wait, really? Why?
So for Live League? Yeah. And for Global League too. We've basically had a stance that ghost units are too new player unfriendly. So like it's not clear. Usually what happens is no one notices the little red X icon that shows up when you try to build from it in game. And so then you just get a ton of bug reports about why I can't build from this airport or port or whatever. And it's just terrible for new players.
Yeah, I do get that for new players. It's definitely a problem because even like looking at the map, they're like, what is this? and then they're playing, and the thing goes away, and then it's like, oh, nice, I can make a battleship or something, and then they can't. Maybe their whole plan was like around that, and then they can't.
Exactly. And I guarantee that's exactly why they're ghosted in this case, is because you don't want to build a battleship right there, because you can just immediately either lock down the HQ or lock, literally, if you're like Blue Moon on the top and you capture it, you lock the entire base from Orange Star. So not great.
Yeah, I think this map is... The HQ is really forward. I think the board also has the thing that if it's kept by red here, you can make a black boat or a lander, and maybe that's why the creator made this. So yeah, you can't do that. But also carrier here goes 2, 4, 6, 8, so it locks the airport. So there's like a ton of problems. This would just be easier to
in fairness, if you build a carrier on this map, you are mad. If you build a battleship, you're probably also mad, but if you build a carrier, you are really mad.
Also, if you build a carrier here, you're probably like you're just 4 tiles away from the HQ. You probably already won.
Yeah, you either already won or you lost so hard that you're trolling. It's one or the other. So the first thing that I always do, we kind of skip the step, is I scroll down to the map comments and I just check.
Oh, okay, it's a YouTube video.
YouTube video. It's probably a song, right?
Probably.
You gonna try it? Try it just in case it's him like going on an expose about his map.
Let's see.
YouTube comments can be gems.
Oh, it's a song. Yeah, it's a song.
Okay. Yeah, I don't usually follow the YouTube links in map comments.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
I'm a little disappointed he didn't just rickroll you. That would have been a great way to start the stream.
To what?
To rickroll you.
Oh,
you know what that is?
That would have been, yeah, that would have been really funny. Okay, so what would you, like your immediate rank would be for this one? A B rank?
This one, I mean, so I guess let's look a little bit what's going on. So you've got a pretty standard 2 versus 1 base setup. 2 bases versus 1 plus an airport, right? The bases can't like go right towards each other. So it looks like on the 2 base side, on the top, they're gonna kind of wind around that mountain and ocean, and then they can either go into the center or then kind of go up towards the HQ. The 1 base can get directly to the HQ and kind of directly to the center, but the path is more direct. So the first thing that stands out to me is that in the area around the HQ, there's not a lot of properties. I mean, there's not a lot of properties on this map, period.
Yeah.
Did you check what the total funding was already?
Let's see. That's gonna be 28, 30, 32, 34 with HQ. That's 17 per player.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only contested
And a
stuff
lot of them
would be these, really.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It looks like, I mean, the ports maybe will be contested. The ghosted ones, yeah.
You can put an artillery here, boom.
So in theory, this type of map can work if it has the appropriate contested cities, because, you know, the 1 base side, it's not that defensible, right? So even though the map is kind of narrow and closed off, if the 2 base side can just exert pressure on it, then in theory it can work and be dynamic. Like you can almost think like Brush with Death as like the classic example of that, right? In this case though, I think what'll happen is because the 2 base side is pointed like right towards the center, most of those units are going to be flowing through the center to get to the actual contested area. What you're really going to see is just a massive bulk of units. And then it won't be that easy to attack the HQ because you have all the reinforcements from the 2 base side that are streaming that way naturally. That's what it looks like to me at first glance.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The airport is going to help a lot, the 1 base to like deter any early pressure here probably. But I can see the 2 base just kind of going 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, just everything going this way and kind of pointing at these two cities. I'm assuming there's going to be some fighting over these, but it should eventually fall under the 2 base. And then it's like...
I don't even know if there will be a lot of fighting on those, honestly.
On these?
Mm-hmm. Because look at the capture chains on the 2 base side. Like, you have the first infantry is going to the neutral base. The second one is going straight up, and it's going to take care of that chain.
Yep.
The third infantry might
go
to the left and capture that.
And then it goes here.
But I could see a case for that even just skipping ahead, honestly.
So this one...
if you look on the 1 base side, yeah, like if it skips to go to the next city or to the center, right? And then on the 1 base side, that one, exactly, you're kind of spreading out in all directions on your 1 base side, right?
Yeah, you
so
kind
they're
of
not going to be going straight into the middle.
You need 1 infantry here that will probably then go here. The second one will go here and then here. And the third one will probably go here and then back here. That's at least what I would do.
There's no obvious properties in between like the airport towards that theoretically contested city near the lab, right? There's nothing in there where you can capture, or there's no reason to even go in there. So I don't think that one city, the city next to the lab, shouldn't even be contested. That should just be owned by the 2 base side.
So so you're saying that the 2 base, like the city is more naturally towards the capture phase of the 2 base than the 1 base. Yeah, it makes sense.
And so, that's one thing, it's kind of hard to judge when you're picking city positions on maps. Like, it's one thing to position the city place halfway in between the bases, right? The more advanced part of that is thinking about where the capture phase naturally leads infantry and making sure that the timing actually lines up, like they're flowing towards that area at the same time to create a contested property. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if something's halfway in between if one base is going to get there in 3 turns because it's the most natural property to capture, and the other base is going to get there in 6 turns, you know, so they're spreading out.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a hard thing to do though, because as you're putting the cities in the map, you don't, maybe you're not thinking of how those infantries are just going to chain through those captures. Yeah, it's such a hard
100%.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's where like people won't necessarily like this answer. But for me, if you have trouble visualizing it, the move planner is like your best friend for figuring that stuff out. And normally, if I'm looking at a map and trying to really figure out where the contested properties are and where the mid game is going to be taking place, I'm opening the move planner and doing exactly what you're doing on my completed map, and then shifting cities around slightly, getting the dynamic the way that I think works.
Yeah, I feel like the move planner is great for that. Although you don't have this little extension.
Nope, don't use it. It's a good extension though. I highly recommend anyone to get it. Like, I don't use it because as a developer, I think it's important to kind of stay in touch with what the base experience is, so that if it's miserable enough, maybe one day I'm tempted to change it. But so I don't know that we need to spend a ton of time on this map, because I would say it's a pretty clear B rank.
Okay.
And you're welcome. Maybe you can just categorize it and save me the time of going back and doing it later.
Okay, I'll do it. It'll be my first map categorization. That's not new.
Leaking on stream, the interface.
Oh, should I not show it?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so B, that's it, right?
That is it.
Boom. Okay,
yeah.
So
I mean, this one, just in summary, has a lot of problems. Namely, though, it doesn't have enough contested cities, and the fronts are pretty tiny. So it's not going to be very dynamic.
What if it were base light? I mean, it would shift everything, right?
Would shift everything.
Like you remove the
still have the
space.
same problem. You still have the same problem with the contested cities, but it changes your strong side and your weak side dynamic, right? So now the airport side is actually your strong side. It would probably work better, honestly.
Say if
you'd have to move the HQ.
If you put the HQ here, for example, where the comm tower is, and you probably just remove this so it's not even a property, and so you have this like weak base. Maybe there's too many here. I don't know, because you use 1 here, then you use 2 here. So you have the HQ here, and then this kind of pushes forward.
You still have the problem where the middle is really, really strong, and a lot of units are going to clump in the middle. So like, I don't know, even with that change, I don't know if it'd be an A-rate candidate, but I think the map would flow better for sure. It'd be more natural.
Yeah, I can definitely see
And
the two base just like pouring here way too strong. It definitely feels kind of like an HQ rush map a little bit. Like
I will
middle
say though,
or HQ.
In this map's defense, it does one thing that I really like to see in maps, where on the 2-base side, once the neutral base is captured, it doesn't immediately make the original base redundant or obsolete. So like the path out of that base area is the same for both bases.
Yeah.
Because of the forest placement. So like some maps will have, you see this especially on really old maps. People today I think are a bit smarter about it because they're more aware of it. But in old maps, you'd have the case where you have like a backward starting base and the neutral base would be a little bit forward. And once you capture that neutral base, now there's no reason to build anything but infantry ever from the first base. And it just reduces decisions.
Yeah, I guess in this case, the best one to make tanks is this one always, because you have the same movement, but you have the flexibility that you can actually go a little bit faster towards the middle. So that's what I was thinking before. Like I would just make tanks from this one, and this one will always be infantry. There's no real benefit for infantry from either base, but there's a slight benefit from the tank to go towards the middle a little bit faster. You can go like here.
Right. The difference is that you could theoretically, if you wanted to, make tanks from both bases, and it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea, right? Because you could send one to the middle easier and one wide at the same, equal.
Yeah, that is true.
But you're right. This isn't the best example. The best example is if it's actually a decision on where to send units from. They're more equal, but it's close.
Okay, I know that Daddy Maxac wants to submit a map. So if you want to, send it to me or we gotta link it.
Imagine volunteering to get roasted live.
Well, he had asked earlier, so if he wants to, go ahead. I'm gonna have trouble with Discord. Let's see if I can do this. I have to remove your camera for a second. Wait, do I? I don't even know how this works. Oh, honestly, I can do a little pop out. I shouldn't be doing these things on stream. Let's see, how does this work? No, that doesn't work. I can do like that.
You need a technical difficulty screen. All right, I'll answer some chat questions while you're doing this.
Oops. Okay, that does not work.
Let's see. What's the point of a ghost harbor if there are no other harbors from Dark Raider? We talked about that a little bit just at the very beginning. And on this map, it's probably because you don't want to let someone build a battleship. Because the port's kind of contested, so whoever can control it. And I mean, you could even build like a black boat on it, I guess, just to keep the enemy from taking it. But really, in my mind, you would put a ghost unit here for battleships. Because the second you build a battleship here, you basically just win. But on the other hand, it's a 17K per side map. So it's not like you really want to be building things from ports here anyway. But usually, if you see a ghosted port near the front line, that's to get rid of battleships. Let's see, what else we got? Are there maps that are opposite to Caustic, Stall in the middle, and Aggression on the side? I think, yeah, Operation Mechstorm had a good example there with Vadum. And the other classic example that I see is Shadows Chase You Endlessly, where it ends up, I mean, that map kind of stalls everywhere, but it's more dynamic on the sides with, being a bit cut off from the center. But those sort of maps are hard to pull off because usually if the sides are really open, yeah, the center still won't stall. And it ends up being kind of linear. Let's see. Somebody in MC put Stacks in the live league. We're gonna need a ban in here, Mita. One Cookie Lamb 3.
Cookie Lamb, he's back. Who's cracked? It's probably LS, yeah.
Yeah, Cookie Lamb is up there on my likes to troll me list.
Why? Oh, because of the Bridge Mountain?
Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, that's a good example. He loves that one. But just generally, whenever I look at one of his maps, my eyes kind of cross and my head starts to hurt. And I know he does it on purpose.
Yeah, I got this map from Daddy Maxak. He just sent it to me. Have you seen this before? I feel like I have seen this before.
If
like
I've seen it, I don't remember seeing it, but I might have. Huh. So this one, it's interesting. I mean, I love FTA counters as much as you can love an FTA counter. This one's like a take on an FTA counter that I developed for high funds and then translated to standard. It can work for standard. I'm not 100. I would have to verify this one actually works in the move. Normally, the way this FTA counter works, you can see you have on the outside, each country has a pair of bases. So you have one on the left and one on the right. And those mirror each other, right? And then in the middle, Orange Star has 2 neutral bases and 2 infantry. So both of those will get captured, be fully owned by day 2. Blue Moon has 1 starting base and 1 pre-owned base, but only 1 infantry. So it's a little bit different, right? Like normally Blue Moon has more infantry and the same number of starting properties. In this case, they have 1 extra starting property, but 1 less unit. Normally the way this works out is Blue Moon has to send their first infantry to capture the base. So they'll end up capturing the base on day 2, and then they'll make up the extra infantry because they're able to build from the base. So it kind of balances out. It only works really well though if the bases in the middle are the same strength, because otherwise if one of them's a lot better than the other one in the pair, then whoever goes first on that base has an advantage.
Right.
So that's just a little overview on this FTA counter.
See, I'm looking at the captures from this base. It's it's a little bit awkward. I mean, you definitely go for this one first, but then you start going for these chains that are kind of contested. Well, maybe not these two, but this one probably. I think it's interesting because there's no like 2 base in this map actually. There's like multiple 1 base areas.
Yeah, because the bases are close to each other, but they're cut off.
Yep.
Right? So neither one of them can support the other one that until you break the pipe seam a little, I guess.
Yeah.
Even then, it's not that.
Oh, I guess you can join like this, right? You go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go this. So
that's really awkward though, because if you're sending a unit along that path, it can't go anywhere else, basically.
Yeah, that's
anywhere
super
important.
trapped. Yeah, probably be a control for this area. I'd probably just ignore this as much as I can and try to take over this area where the most amount of cities are.
Mm-hmm. And now you have a pre-owned airport also. Yeah, I would have to check the funding curve on this one pretty closely. I know that Daddy Maxak is usually pretty good for that, so like I would expect that he's probably already checked it, and it probably does work.
Yeah, he says
but
8
it's
BBA.
not obvious.
ABBA tank order.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, what I worry about more than ABBA on maps like this, like that's part of it, but you have to also think about which fronts in a mixed base map, which front each player is ahead on, and making sure that the fronts aren't disproportionately valuable.
Mm.
So like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just pull up a map in like Paint or something, and I'll draw an arrow from like one base to the other. So like at the bottom, that center Orange Star base, they're technically behind on that base relative to the Blue Moon base to the right.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yeah, because like you have a front between them, right? So they're going to be behind on that interaction. On the other side, you take the mirrored base,
Yeah, you see.
Orange Star should be ahead. So I would go in like make those arrows, and then you can, it's like a quick way to visualize which person or which player is in front on, or ahead on which front.
Right.
And you can run into trouble if like, there's a really common situation is the same pair of bases are responsible for the center, for example. Then whoever goes first from that pair of bases is going to immediately win, which is usually really powerful.
So I guess in that example, for example, red is ahead in this space, while blue is, how do you say it? Not ahead, behind.
Behind, yeah.
And,
Yep.
And then you go, I mean, this one would probably be responsible for this chain right here, because you can go one here, second one would just go for this city chain.
Right.
But I feel like this base would go over here. I don't think this base would ever go over here. I mean, maybe to get this city right here, but this would be the third.
It gets
infantry.
complicated. It gets complicated, right? Because the fronts that the infantry are responsible for isn't necessarily the fronts that the vehicles are responsible for. So it gets really tricky. Like I would say a map like this is super, super complicated to just look at without actually doing some playtesting, because the disadvantages that you'll find are not obvious from looking at it. Like I have an idea of where the problems could be, but I can't tell you that they actually will be problems without, move planner in it. Like these sort of maps just take a lot of time to evaluate. Not obvious.
Yeah, and even after testing, and even sometimes after putting it on the global league, people find problems and they get removed.
Yep. The more complicated a map is, the higher amount of testing and higher level of player you need to test it in order to actually break it.
True. So it's gonna take a while to move plan out.
Yeah, it's a bigger map.
So this one would probably go over here for this chain right here. So
I mean, I will say that I don't see any like obvious issues with the map off the top of my head. Like it pretty much, if tank order works, it pretty much follows what I'd consider to be good map making principles.
Would you give it a rank?
I would say
would you need more testing?
Definitely, at least. I would need more testing for sure. I mean, I don't A rank anything unless I throw it through the move planner, sometimes more than once. But assuming that the tank order works and assuming that it's relatively balanced, I'd say it could be an A rank candidate. The thing that I would be concerned about is whether the fronts are actually interesting on the sides. You'd have to, like, you don't want some fronts to be completely uninteresting, usually. You want them to at least have threats that a player could value and they get ahead on. So like that bottom left front, for example,
this one,
you're not going to have a lot. Well, even in the middle on the bottom, like between, yeah, exactly.
like this area? Yeah.
Even below that, there's nothing to do below that, right?
Oh yeah, here, yeah.
In that area, exactly. So that's not even really a front. So you have essentially just the front to the left of that you were pointing at.
So this area is the fighting area. Yeah, like blue is just gonna push out over here probably.
Right.
And I feel like these bases are just gonna kind of ignore this as much as they can to pour into this, this whole area, all these cities, even the com towers.
Exactly. And then you have one last front, like other than just the middle, you have that top front also, but there's not a lot of contested properties up in that area, you know, between the top left orange star base and the closest blue moon base.
The city?
There's like maybe one thing to fight for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's the city.
So it looks to me like most of the fighting is going to be on that vertical front between the pairs of center bases, and then kind of on the outside vertical front between the pairs of wide bases. And you're not going to have a ton of interaction outside of those areas. That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely the most fighting would be for these right here in the middle, most likely. This could even be like neutral the whole game. Well, I mean, would have to keep doing the move planner, but where would you buy the tank? Let's do it on where you have the most infantry. Say here. Oh, this one doesn't even reach here. So this one could be contested.
Yep. And this is something, a lot of players complain about maps like this that have a lot of forests immediately blocking the base. It's kind of necessary when you have really short distances between bases on maps like this.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you have a lot of shenanigans with early tanks just disrupting or covering everything. So I think, though, this is far enough to give you a decent sense of how the map is developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can see on the left that if Orange Star wants to, they have no reason to contest property. And if you had built an artillery instead of a tank early, you could basically just lock that and prevent it from ever being captured, right?
Oh, I guess that's true, yeah. You can interrupt here, but the artillery there. I was thinking maybe this tank could just go this way, because this tank was built here. Now red can leave that city.
Yep.
Goes like this. You got that more flexible approach. And then tank can go towards here. And now all of this is under threat because tanks can only reach up to here. So this imagery can get hit. Even this capture can be interrupted.
Yeah, and that's generally not ideal. So, I mean, yeah, and blue is in a tough position there, right? Because no matter where they build their tank, the first tank from Orange Star can go somewhere that it can't be covered.
Yeah, the first tank is pretty strong, actually.
So you almost, like on this map, you almost have to mirror it as Blue Moon and just build it from the exact same base on the other side, rather than trying to defend any of your infantry.
Yeah, like over here. Is that an okay thing for a mixed base as an option?
I mean, for one, it's kind of a trap, right? So you have some first turn advantage because the first player to go can dictate where the game is going to be played, which happens to some extent. The first person to build a vehicle generally is going to dictate tempo a little bit. It's mostly a problem here because the fronts are so close together. And a lot of mixed base maps end up like that. So I wouldn't say it's like a disqualifying factor, but it's definitely not desirable to have that sort of interaction.
Okay. Let's see. So Daddy Maxax says it's really two separate battles on the sides. Which side is a strong side for each player can change game to game from what I've seen. You have to battle to connect your two bases basically, since there isn't a two base close together.
Right. And that's where, like, if you're thinking kind of strategically long term, where can you win? It's really hard to attack the corners, right? I mean, on the one hand, it's the most natural, but the terrain to get to the corner from the two base sides, like if you attack the bottom left from the top left and from the center, you don't have a lot of easy ways to get to them. You have the black boat sitting on the lab, which can be used really annoyingly to block specific tiles. Like if you put it right next to the city, for example, or right next to the mountains, that creates a really, really strong defensive point that you can just hack units behind. And you have the airport there, which also will make it harder to attack because you don't have necessarily unit superiority. And air units can just go everywhere on a map like this. So the corner is not really the most obvious target to attack. To me, it's almost center base near the pipe is the one that you would attack. So it's kind of locked in. There's not a lot of good places to put units. There's not any properties that you can put a tank on in one turn. And they can just basically get trapped in there really, really quickly without any bases available to support it.
I would think that the weakest base would be this one right here because of how this area, the one base, one airport, kind of goes like this vertically. And then you can also join it with this army right here and kind of like semi-pincer strike this base. But I don't know, because this space, if it makes tanks, it can kind of cut them off. So I guess like the biggest area would be this one, to see if you can join these two bases, or if these two bases get joined, and then you can go and kill this base.
And it seems like it's more natural, just based on the way the capture phase kind of shakes out that you've shown here. It seems more natural for the bottom right base for Blue Moon to join. Yeah, you can see two very obvious diagonals forming.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where I think if you look on that diagonal, the most obvious place to attack is the, for Blue Moon, it's the top middle base, because it's on that same diagonal, but all of its vehicles are kind of cut off from joining with the other bases.
Wait, you said Blue Moon, it's going to attack the top middle base?
No, so like the top middle base for Blue Moon, the one to the left of where you're showing right now.
Oh, this one?
The other one? That one. That one is the most natural one for Orange Star to attack.
Yeah, it's poor like this.
Yep. So I think overall, I would say, just kind of in summary, I think this is a well-designed mixed-based map in terms of the overall setup, but I would be pretty concerned about the tank interactions early on and whether or not there's lines that just one player has an advantage over the other due to having the first tank and being able to dictate the tempo and the decision making or the decisions available to the other player. I think that's the biggest problem and probably what would limit it to B rank if that was found to be problematic.
Yeah. It's complicated, these mixed bases.
Very. So like, if I'm looking at something like what you have up here, to me this map doesn't scream that it's like a Global League candidate. And I think there's a lot of maps that have similar sorts of ideas and themes that don't necessarily have the same problems. So like a lot of times if I'm unsure about a map, I'll throw it in B rank and then maybe throw it in under review. This one I wouldn't probably put in under review. I'd probably B rank it and move on to something else that has less chance of issues.
Okay. What do you want to do then with that map?
I'd put it in B rank.
Okay. Cool.
And it's not like a bad thing for a map to be in B rank.
Yeah.
The vast majority are in B rank, but it has to have something more special or no risk of problems, I'd say, to go into consideration for competitive play.
Nice. Okay.
So that's what, half an hour, 2 maps?
Oh wow, more. It's already 48 minutes. That was 2 maps. Damn.
Yeah, we had like the intro, but yeah.
Yeah, the 10-minute intro of the spring in general.
Small maps and non-mixed base maps are a lot quicker, but once you start getting those large mixed base maps,
look,
it adds up.
We have a pinwheel map. Yeah, look up a pinwheel.
Pinwheel in the chat? No, Pinwheel's Australian.
He said he was in the middle of work.
It's bad priorities, Pinwheel.
Ooh, this one for live is gonna be complicated. Wait, this recon.
Yeah, so basically you want to build a mecha and artillery to remove the recon so that then you can boost vehicles to the sides quickly. That's the idea.
Interesting.
What does that do to the... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, interesting that like the one base goes like middle or the side, and the 2 base can, well, to go back here has to like loop around. So this is like the very important pivot that maybe the 1 base can pressure. But yeah, you unlock this and then the lander can like drop stuff over here and probably secure the airport, because this should go to the 2 base. It feels very contested.
Even then, the lander drop-off areas are kind of weird.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be hard to safely drop units too easily. I guess maybe from the neutral base you can build infantry and you'll kind of be able to shield.
So you can make mechs
You're right
here.
though. The airport is super. That's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know. We'd have to check how the timing works out. But if you have the airport get captured originally by the one base side, and then comes under heavy pressure because the two base side ends up controlling that area, it's almost like a airport behind the enemy lines that then becomes vulnerable. It's an interesting idea.
I feel like the airport should fall under the two base. Like probably a mech.
But not originally.
A mech
right?
is kind of no, really. I feel like it
I don't
would.
know. I mean, it's not that many turns. It's what, 4 turns away from the one base?
Let's see. It definitely feels kind of forced to make a mech so you can deal with that recon quickly and.
But even
cheap.
then, the mech can't 2-hit KO it, right? You need 2 mechs to really do the job.
Yeah, you just have to wait 2 turns. Like you hit it once and then you hit it again, and it should get it taken care of.
Maybe I don't know my recon mech damage tables well enough. I thought
it does a lot of damage. It does the same as a tank, I think. So let's see. Oh, it's not working. So
yeah,
mech, recon, mountain.
Oh, okay.
So that's quite.
That should be a 2-hit KO, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
8 HP. If you don't low roll,
Unless
the
this is
mech
like,
can still, or 9 HP.
says Kindle, even still. The mountain is just too much defense. So yeah, the mech is guaranteed to KO it.
Okay. Yeah, so that changes it too. So basically just another Jess nerf.
Basically just what?
A Jess nerf.
I just nerf. Oh. Will she get the KO? Where's Jess? She gets the job done. I think. Oh, leaves it maybe at.
Oh.
Well,
it'll be at 8.
So it's like that. Yeah, we'll leave it at 8, and then it gets striked back. So it's a 5. Is an 8.
Okay, she still gets it done.
Yeah. But if it goes like that, oh yeah, still kills. Okay. So yeah, it's still a KO. This would go, but there's no chains. So this one would probably go here.
Right, because then you chain it with the more forward city after.
Yeah, you go here.
But that's where something to consider is, based on the vehicle timing, can Yellow Comet, or Gray Sky, I guess, can they afford to skip a capture? Maybe not the first capture, but like the second one, and just send it straight to the airport? I don't know. Things like that, like, there's weird lines that you could...
You know, it's actually 1, 2, 3...
That's 4.
4 turns. That's a line that Starflash would do. Turbo capture the airport.
I mean, does it get there in time if Yellow Comet built a mech turn? That's the first time they could build one, right?
Let's try to do that. I think you can make a mech this turn.
Yeah. So Yellow Comet plays solid, and Gray Sky goes for the cheese.
Right. You go here.
So I think you can see next turn the mech moves, attacks the recon. The turn it attacks the recon is the turn that Gray Sky starts capturing. So you don't even have to send your first dim. You can actually delay it a couple turns. Because it's going to take...
1, 2, 2, 3.
And then the lander can drop. Okay, so maybe you do have to send the first, assuming that Yellow Comet can afford a tank by then.
Let's see.
I guess you don't even need a tank. You could just send an infantry, right?
Yeah, you just need to interrupt it. I mean, we have to see if it's even worth, because if you get the airport that early, you probably want to get a copter also, because if not, it's like, why did you even do all of that?
for sure. Yeah, is it even worth it is the next question, right? Is it possible? And then is it worth it?
Exactly.
And then after that, is it problematic? If the answer to both of those is yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Wait. There he goes. So you start hitting here.
Inkagar suggests clearly that the recon needs to be changed to a mega tank for balance. I think, yeah, to change the map dynamic, might as well just make it a mountain at that point, I feel like.
You actually get a tank here.
Okay, so I would say that cheese route's probably not worth it then, because you will literally finish capturing it and then just get the infantry killed, right?
You start capturing here. Then this kills,
And then
tank
on the next
drops
turn,
here.
the recon dies and the tank gets there.
So Gray Sky does get the airport. Yeah, Gray Sky does get the
But it's
airport.
not really worth it.
But you get hit by the tank, and then you can make a copter. I mean, that could be.
Yeah,
if
feels like
Gray
that
Sky,
will never be worth it.
Look. Gray Sky doesn't build a tank this turn. I mean, Gray Sky can't really. I mean, you have to base skip. So you don't.
Yeah, in fairness though, Mech Storm says if they send an anti-air over there, then it's really pointless. They do have to base skip to get an anti-air. Like Yellow Comet would have to base skip
Yeah, double
if they
base
wanted
skip.
it instead of the tank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. True.
I mean, at this point, if your opponent has already gone for this, it's probably fine for you to base skip because they've already really set back their capture phase anyway. So it's probably just winning to just build the anti-air and ruin their day. It's probably winning for Yellow Comet in this situation either way. I think the cheese is not worth it.
You can even 2-hit KO it.
Mm-hmm.
You can still make a copter though. Yeah, you can double base skip an anti-air here, but scales like it.
Oh, I was talking about instead of the tank. Instead of the tank the turn before. That could be an anti-air, and then you would just have one less infantry.
Oh, yeah, but then they can make a tank here as well. But then again, you're forcing the fight on the one base. I guess, yeah, it is fine, because then this airport is going to be locked for sure. Like, Gray Sky is not going to make a copter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then I guess the question is, if the airport isn't relevant, like if the two base side's just going to get it eventually, is this gimmick with the recon really that beneficial? Does it add something to the map? I guess it makes it a little bit harder of a decision on where to send units from that base that the lander supports. You know, do you send them over land more towards the middle, or do you send them wide? But I don't know that the lander really, you know, if that was just a land route, say, convoluted land route to get units to there.
Like this?
Is it worse than this? Yeah, so like if the base that the anti-air was on, let's just imagine that below the port is like a forest.
Yeah.
Is that really that much different than the current situation? I don't know.
It's probably, I mean, in theory, it would be worse because you can do like one turn deployment here. But you don't have to rely on the lander, which is nice.
Right.
But yeah, I guess the airport then is 100% for the two base player. It's not for the one base. So then the front is just gonna be here, pretty much. The fighting is gonna be over the city maybe, and then mostly over here.
I think it would be a lot more interesting on the sides if it the area where the lander was able to drop off units was more relevant to shaping how the fronts are going to be formed. You know what I mean? Because right now it's like you can drop off units in an area that you're already going to control long term. And there's not any fighting in that area. It'd be one thing if, like around on the left-hand side, if Gray Sky could get that airport and could get a city and could reinforce it a little bit, so that that lander drop-off kind of is covering two fronts that it's right in the middle of. That would be more interesting. That's why I was initially intrigued by the airport. So that could be a pretty cool dynamic. But as it is, if they just own that corner anyway and you drop off at the edge of the corner, I don't know if it adds too much.
Need some Michigan manure lander stuff. So mixed arm.
Because the way I view gimmicks like this, there's a cost to the gimmick, right? That's immediately new player unfriendly to some extent. You have to see that you need to build a mech. You don't get tricked by like going for an artillery or something else. And then you have to be able to see the dynamic with how the lander is going to reinforce, calculate the line for the airport, whatever it is, right? Like it's all additional complexity. So if it doesn't add something positive to the map in terms of creating this unique dynamic or setting up the fronts in an interesting way, then in my mind, the gimmick shouldn't be added. It's not worthwhile. That's how I feel about them.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, if I were to make this area like 4 Gray Sky, and then you have like, oh, like I have to send stuff here or here, like there's this decision that you have to make and it will shape the matches differently, then it would definitely be very interesting. But yeah, apparently this just falls under yellow. It would probably just be, like even the comm tower is just going to be for yellow. This lander is really strong, to be honest. Just being able to drop off here for the double base means this is all for yellow. This base is just going to reinforce infantry.
I agree with everything you said. One thing that could be more interesting, what if that tile south, it's below and to the left of the mech, that forest tile, what if that was where the shoal was? And, obviously you have to reconfigure the gimmick a little bit, but like if the recon blocked that shoal as an access point, that might make it a little bit more interesting, right?
Yeah, say you make this, I don't know, a mountain tile, lander here, recon here. Somehow the recon can't move out.
Right. Yeah, you'd have to change the terrain a little bit.
Maybe do a C tile. I think that would work. Lander, recon, C tile, shoal, and so then you have to kill the recon maybe with an artillery or something instead of a mech, so it's not that early. And so then at the beginning, Gray Sky can kind of just like sneak in here, get the airport and stuff. And then by that time you get the artillery, you take it out, or you try to go here. I guess there it could add more variety.
What's interesting about that is it almost makes the map a little bit mixed base if Yellow Comet can control in the corner, right? If they can reinforce right to the corner. Because then you have Yellow Comet in the very corner, Gray Sky in between them, and then if you go a little further than that, it's the area where Gray Sky controls by, or Yellow Comet controls by wrapping around those mountains back towards the center, right? So it would go kind of like Yellow Comet, Gray Sky, Yellow Comet, but it gives them an option to attack from below instead of just from top. That's more interesting to me than the way it's set up.
Okay, rank.
But we didn't even talk about the rest of the map. We just looked at the gimmick, and in my mind, unless the rest of the map is outstanding, I would give this a B rank and go on my way.
Okay. Yeah, I think the rest is fine. The city will fall for yellow. I'm not sure if there's any very contested stuff like this.
It's another map. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. No,
so that like this city will go for yellow because this guy that goes over here is gonna go for this one. So you're gonna try to rush that. I would think that maybe it would be contested because this base can go like that and then try to rush that. This might be some TA problem. Maybe, possibly. Besides that, I'm not sure if there's any contested middle cities.
I was going to say it looks like a map where, once again, once the corner is not contested, if no one cheeses it, then it's kind of everything sits middle. sort of map is what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Should we rank it?
Do the honors.
B.
Will we find an A rank map on this stream?
Ooh.
That's the question.
That is the question. Yeah.
Standards are high, I gotta say.
We got one from LNF. There's been a lot of chat. Let's see. What is
Yeah,
Jumbo
I was
saying?
noticing that.
Yeah, no to interrupt in time. Day 2 meg.
So I like, I'm gonna mispronounce it, but Arcaro's point here. I don't like map force you on a specific build line. If you don't build a mech, you'll be in a disadvantage. I do kind of agree with that. Not necessarily just for the disadvantage point of view, but also because every game you play, like once you solve the puzzle once, every game you play, you're just now repeating those exact same steps. And there's no thought, there's no variety. It's just the same opening, same gimmick every time. That sort of map can be fun sometimes on a tournament if the gimmick is interesting enough and it creates an interesting map. But if it was like Global League or Live League where you're going to play that map over and over, it just gets boring.
Falcon Fields. That's the biggest example of there is a line that you need to be careful of.
Yeah. Just to clarify, not Falcon Fields. Falcon Fields version 3.
Right, yeah.
I will die on the hill that the original Falcon Fields is okay.
I wonder who made the original Falcon Fields.
Yeah. I wonder who could be upset that name has been in the mud and will never be given another chance.
That map will never see the light of day again.
I'll just remake it with the same concept and slightly different, terrain, and no one will know the difference.
And change the map
It'll
name,
have its
of course. You have to change the name.
Well, right. It'll be like Hawks Hill or something.
And you can rotate the map like 90 degrees or something.
I like that. Yeah, that's the new meta. Take a broken map, rotate it 90 degrees.
Exactly.
See if anyone notices.
Do
Do you want to do the LNF map?
Yeah.
LNF maps are like opening like a Kinder egg or something. You don't know what it's going to look like when you open it.
For me, the staple thing of LNF is the silos. He always uses so many silos.
I actually kind of like it. I made a couple maps inspired by that idea. But
I think
yeah,
it's good.
very much an LNF take.
It makes Lash a bit more viable.
I gotta say, this doesn't look as spicy as normal LNF map. I was looking around and like normally on a map like this that looks kind of normal, they'll do something like throw the airport in the middle of the map.
True.
But this looks pretty okay.
I think maybe the HQ is a little bit too easily defendable if you want to like get picky.
Nitpicky, yeah.
Because it's like right next to the 2 base. Like maybe you could go like...
One thing I like that LNF does a lot is he's not afraid to put cities kind of closer together than you normally would, near the fronts. This map is maybe not the best example because 3 and 4 spaces apart is normal. But he'll have a lot of maps where like those contested cities will just be right next to each other. And that can be really interesting if it's set up in a way where it's contestable. Like this is already kind of interesting because he has the 2 cities combined by missile silos, right?
These right here.
Uh-huh. Having contested or central cities that are surrounded by a lot of high defense terrain, like I get why he uses missile silos because they don't deter movement, but they're high defense, right? So like it can be a really good defensive tile. Simultaneously, it makes it a really good tile to attack from because you don't have to worry about the counterattack damage.
Yeah.
And because they don't hinder movement at all, like a forest would, it opens up more possibilities to use them as attack tiles. So I like the general idea. I don't know if this one will work out really. it kind of depends how contestable those cities are.
Well, at a glance, I would say that these two are most definitely the contested ones. These are not.
Agreed.
Because this is the 2 base, so you're gonna go like so, and then you're probably gonna go for this city, and this one will go here, for example. And the 1 base is a little bit too busy. It has like this capture, and then I guess this guy has a lot of important decisions. It can either go here and then capture this one, which would be the contested one. But you probably also want to either get this chain or try to speed up this airport.
Yep.
Not sure.
And I like that. Like, this is what I would consider to be a well-designed capture phase, because it's not obvious on first glance which way your infantry can go. And that gives you room to, based on what your strategy is, like if you want to rush the airport, if that's beneficial for you, you can build a strategy around that. If you want to rush the middle, you can build a strategy around that. I like that.
Yeah.
This one also has the sometimes dangerous option of being able to delay your base capture by capturing the city to get an early vehicle.
Do you think that's a
generally? No, it gets broken too many times. It leads to turn advantage too often. Because usually what happens with this is that it's really only beneficial for one side to do that, so they can get a tank earlier than they should have, and then that breaks the vehicle order. That's what happens most often.
Yeah, and then you have to do the counter to that, which is like base skipping day 2 recon or something, or
yeah, so it's usually worse for the other player. So like that's one of the first things I noticed that I would want to check pretty carefully on this map. Yeah, I think you go for the center there for sure.
Yeah, you got this city right here that you're gonna want, and then from here you just like back off, or maybe you go here and you go for the comm tower. Probably.
One thing that's interesting on this map is if you look at the terrain for front switching. So the 2 base side is going to kind of go towards the middle and then also wide, and they have 1 base for each. The 1 base side has the same options, but obviously half the production. So if you deploy units wide and then try to bring them back to the middle, there's not a lot of good terrain for switching. Like, it's pretty choky in there. So potentially if the 2 base cuts you off right there near their HQ, you just end up getting your forces split. But you have to go wide because a lot of the properties are wide. So I think that's an interesting element of this map also.
You mean wide as in going to the sides? Like say you go this way and then this way?
Especially for the 1 base. Like the 2 base, I think, is actually going to control the area around the HQ. Because it's easier for them to access it and they'll have more units in that area.
Ooh, which one do you go for actually?
I think you go for the middle usually, right?
This one. Oops.
Just like if it was me, that infantry that you just moved and captured with, I would actually push that one forward, I think. And use because you're going to have a lot of infantry.
Yeah. I was just thinking like
at this point,
the faster income.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of those options. Like this one could have actually skipped here to try to speed up this one.
Yep. I think a lot of times, I mean, you know this as well as anyone, but a lot of times once you get past the first couple days of the game, skipping income is not nearly as impactful because it's not going to influence your build timing, your initial build timing for vehicles.
Yeah, true. Actually, looking at Black Hole, this would mean that Black Hole would have 10, so he'd still be able to get another tank. So it's not like, I guess maybe for the 3rd tank, we'll have to see.
Right, that's exactly it. It starts influencing, like the captures you make on these turns is influencing your tank, your 3rd and 4th tank timing point. And usually that's not nearly as impactful. Like it's much worse to skip a property on day 2 than it is on day 5 or 6. Especially when it's going to be contested. So like if it's the difference between getting in on day 5 and 6 and it costs you 1k, a lot of times that's worth it. But I like that this map, like you said, it has a lot of those options where you can choose to skip, go forward for a minor income disadvantage. But you get some tempo out of it, you get the contested properties faster. Those are the sort of good decisions that a high-level map should create.
Yeah, there's also a lot of value here on the side, I think. It felt like maybe the one base was going to have more of an easier time here, but since it's kind of split, because it wants to rush this city, and it has these like side properties that it wants to capture as well. It kind of really delays a lot of the capture phase in this area for the one base.
Yep. Or alternatively, if you rush the side, now you're behind in the middle, and the middle is always important.
Yeah, sure.
So this is one other thing that's not great, as you're showing right now. The first tank is able to basically get a free hit and simultaneously protect the infantry that would be the equivalent hit for a mirrored position. That's not good.
Yeah, that's some turn advantage.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the dangers of contested properties in the middle, is that sort of like they come into play relatively early. Like you could imagine if it wasn't favorable to go for that city, that if that infantry, like if that city was being captured later, like if it was being the start of the capture was this turn,
yeah,
then it wouldn't matter if the tank can get to it, right? Because it can't actually contest anything. It would have been captured anyway. But because the tank gets there after it's already been captured or started being captured, it causes turn advantage.
Oh, so you mean if the infantry gets to the city one turn later, it wouldn't be turn advantage?
Even, yeah, I'd say probably 2 turns later.
Yeah,
Because then there's nothing for that tank to attack, right?
Right, so if it's one turn before, then it means that the tank can interrupt the capture, right? But I guess at the same time there would be a TA because this tank could interrupt the capture while protecting, and this one, you know, can't really do the same thing. I mean, it will get hit back. So I think that would be even more TA. We need 2 turns, no?
You need it to be 2 turns, exactly. I agree. It needs to be 2 turns.
So the tank gets there before the infantry, and then it's like, ooh, do I go and capture or not? There's already a tank here.
Right.
And you probably send the tank somewhere else also, I guess. Instead of going towards the middle. You probably send it towards the side or something, yeah.
And that's where it's kind of a good principle. Like, you should have, generally, you should have some sort of incentive in the middle for units to go there. I mean, the middle is strong anyway, so you don't want to over-incentivize it. But it's okay to put cities there that are contested. You just don't want them to be, yeah, you have to think about the timing. You don't want them to get captured too early where there's situations like this. What a lot of players will do, you'll find it very common on like global league maps or competitive maps, the initial infantry route to the center will be quick and the vehicle routes will be delayed because they'll be blocked off by mountains and you have to like circle around or something. And that way the vehicles, like the infantry can still get there and get the captures, but then the vehicles don't get there until later to the point where it's no longer testing properties or captures or anything. So that's a very common trope.
So like infantries can jump out of the base and get stuff earlier, but then the tanks can't because they have to loop around or something.
Exactly. But allowing quick access for everything into the center is often not going to be great. Like this one has some interesting ideas. I really like that the one base is going to kind of end up getting split by that ocean pond.
Yeah.
So you have to really decide which way you send your unit. And once they're there, it's hard to reposition them. So there's some costs to doing so. So I like that. And that's also going to create a nice dynamic because then you have a unit disparity where the 2 base side can attack with numbers advantage into the 1 base. So you can't stall it as easily. But I think you're going to have problems in the center on this map.
Yeah.
With turn advantage.
That makes it really awkward here. There's something that I did wrong here. I don't know what happened, but I don't know why Black Hole is not capturing this city. I messed something up. But yeah, like this is super awkward because Jade Sun can get this hit here, and then the tank. Wait, I think the tank could have retaliated. It was 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. So maybe if Jade Sun goes for this line, then this tank, instead of going here, which would be mirroring this tank that came here, it could go 2, 4, 6. Oh, but I don't know if there was an infantry here, so that could make it even more awkward.
Yeah.
Because from this tile, then it can reach that city and cover this infantry, which would sort of remove the TA.
It would a little bit. I mean, it's still not fantastic because you have, like, both of those were built from the mirrored base, right? That works better if that tank was coming from the one base side. And I mean, okay, maybe it depends on the capture phase. Maybe you should have built the tank on the other side instead.
Mm.
And maybe then it would be okay.
Yeah, true.
But like, those are the sort of things, this map is well made.
Mm-hmm.
And those sort of little interactions are things that it's hard to find at first notice. Like even just move planner in it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the little things that Starflash finds after playing a million games on it.
Yeah.
He's really good at that.
Live League is really good for that in general.
Yeah.
Breaking maps.
True.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing to say Starflash is good at it and Live League is good for it.
I mean, Starflash is good at many things, to be honest. Okay, should we rank it? How would you rank it?
Yeah, this is one, it's an A rank candidate if the HQ is moved, because right now that's never getting captured.
Yeah, that's never.
So ideally where I would put the HQ is somewhere near the airport on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere wide, sure. Like even if it was near the corner, like a little behind the airport, that could be fine.
Right.
Like maybe you can't have the mountain there if you do that, but you know, like somewhere in that location would be good. With that change, and it,
say a C tile here, and then the HQ. That would be very illes.
It really would. I was thinking something less defensive, a road.
Oh, okay.
Just because it's already in a corner, right? So it's already hard to attack into.
Yeah, maybe you could put a mountain somewhere here so that tank can't really access the HQ that well. Maybe like here. And you got the HQ here. So then tanks can do 2, 4, 6, and they can't reach. 2, 4, 6. It's like, it needs 2 turns, pretty much.
Right. The nice thing about putting the HQ in the corner instead of like where the other missile silo is that you can't really use it as a defensive tile because it's just out of the way. You know, like you can imagine if the HQ was where the other missile tile was, right near the airport, right there, that you can now use that as a really strong defensive. And you don't really want that.
Yeah, it's super tricky where to put the HQ. That's why I feel like sometimes labs work really nicely because it removes that extra defense and the repairs. So I think that's a pretty nice little thing.
I agree. So with a change like that, maybe you make the HQ a lab and you put it somewhere over on the front, or you make it you put it in the corner and leave it as an HQ. But with that, and if you could convince yourself that there's not center TA, like if you build a tank on the weak side and it fixes the problems, I would say this is an A rank candidate.
Nice.
As it is right now, like what I would do is I would put it in B rank and leave a comment for LNF on the map. And then if he happens to see it in like 3 years, then he can ping someone and someone else will look at it and decide that, you know, come up with something completely different. So that's what I would do for something like this.
Okay. Should we rank it then?
Be my guest. You've got the power.
Let's do it. Almost. But yeah, with just a few things, an A rank then. There you go, Rise. If you're here.
He's had his share of A ranks.
Yeah, I know.
Not too special for him. It's almost like when you make 1,000 maps, some of them are good.
True, yeah. That's really how it is, honestly. You just have to make a ton of them.
All right, so let's see. So Sword Signature is asking if they can submit a map for us to look at.
Yeah.
I think you have to be well known.
Yeah, you can send it.
And then Red Halo is asking, with AWBW being 20 years old, how do you think map making meta might change in the next 10 to 20 years?
Whoa.
I couldn't tell you what's going to happen next year, man, much less in 10 years.
I mean,
what I would love to see is high funds being developed more.
How much do you think it has changed, like in the past 10 years, for example, the meta?
Fog has changed a lot. If you went and looked at fog maps from 10 years ago to like the start of 2014, it's very different. YWJ like revolutionized that whole concept of how fog is played. So that's very different. Obviously high funds barely even existed, so it's completely different. Standard isn't that different. A lot of the maps back then were much less open. I think it's kind of a consequence of there not being so many, like the volume of games, the volume of high-level games on maps was much lower. So you didn't break maps with stalemates and stuff as easily. And people were also more used to games kind of being a slower pace anyway. Like the standard for dynamic play was much lower. So you would be more likely to have kind of smaller, slower maps that these days would end up, we would call them stall, B rank, and be done with it. And it's happened to a lot of the older competitive maps.
There were no Starflash back then? Just doing 25 turns a day?
So here's the thing. There was no refreshless interface back then, right? So, I mean, you could take 25 turns, I guess, if you could find enough people to play and if you had the tolerance to wait that long. Yeah, it was much harder to play games quickly.
But like,
and there was just a lot less people around.
Without refreshless, it was like you move a unit and then you have to refresh so it actually shows?
It would refresh the page on its for you. So it's like you click the unit, it refreshes the page, shows the movement tiles. You click the movement tile, it refreshes the page, shows you where you move. You click the unit, it refreshes the page, you get your action, and so on and so on.
It would take forever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially back when the site was pretty slow, so like refreshing the page wasn't fast.
Oof.
So,
damn.
But the maps in general were definitely slower, more closed, more artillery friendly, less dynamic. And I would say overall the standard meta, like, I mean, you can go back and look at maps that were in the league in 2013, 2014. They're not like vastly different. There's not any huge overhauls that have been made in the last 10 years for standard. It's just optimizations, I would say.
Yeah,
the meta
there's still a lot of really good maps from like 10 years ago, and we're still playing them on the global league, which is insane.
Yep. I mean, if you think about it though, like competitive Advanced Wars by Web was like 2007, which is when the very first like modern principles started being used in maps. So even by 2014, 10 years ago, 2007.
Wow.
So even then it had like 6 or 7 years to develop, you know? There's a lot of learning that can be done in that amount of time.
I had to refresh the chat because it was kind of frozen. So, is there any other Magic for a game? Any interest in
Adept is asking.
Any interest in reviewing a teleport tile map on today's stream? Probably. Maybe not today.
Yeah, talk about complicated.
True.
It took us like half an hour just to even make out what was going on in your other map, man.
Well, he sent me another one. He sent me a simpler one.
Teleport tile map?
So, let's do... I can definitely open that one up. Anyone else read the other chat? Well, this one's like really tall.
Yeah. Adept is asking if there were more maps about comm towers. I don't think so. Comm towers have pretty much stayed the same. Like one tower has basically been the standard for as long as I can remember. Just because of the way the damage tables work, you want that extra attack. And I think Advance Wars is already a pretty defensive game, so usually it's better to have more attack. That was one of the things that was recognized pretty early on, I'd say.
Okay, one thing I have to say about a map that I really like a lot, but that doesn't have comp towers that I feel it could do better with a comp tower, is Darkling Threshold. I feel like...
Ooh. That's a controversial opinion.
Like, why doesn't it have a comp tower? And why does it work without a comp tower too?
Yeah, I mean, mixed-base maps are always less likely to need comp towers, right? Because it's harder to make walls. That map is already, like, I see where you're coming from because it's kind of a closed, choky map. I can't say that it would be bad with a comp tower, but I don't think it needs one because there's already so much action everywhere. Like, it's just such an explosive map that you don't need the extra attacking power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the base trade is already so forced on that map.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to bring it up so people have any idea what we're even talking about.
This map is like insane.
You'll probably have to uncheck your options down lower too.
It has like a weird spelling here, I think, like that. Or
it's like without the first stage. Threshold.
Threshold. That's the one. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, is Aerob also Aerob?
That's Aerob, yeah.
Oh, nice. That's 2010. That's insane.
It's classic.
Yeah, this map is amazing. And so the other thing that why I'm like, why doesn't it have a comp tower? Because there's so many, like there's no roads, and there's a lot of plains, forest, mountains. So it's like everything has defense tiles. So it's like stuff never dies.
And that's maps like this. It's some of the funniest maps because you're right. It has no roads. Like there's almost zero tile terrain that isn't a river. It's basically just like the shoals on the sides where almost no fighting actually takes place, right?
Yeah, or the bridges maybe.
Funny because you would just never see people make a map like this today. Like everyone's like, oh, you have to have well-balanced terrain and you have to have zero tile terrain, whatever, or zero defense terrain. And you have this map that's just like, once again, just breaks like all of the rules you can possibly think of. You can already lock bases in a turn, like it's just stupid, and it works. It just works.
If this map was new, if this map was new and you had never seen it before, what would you think?
I would think this is an Elise map. First of all, that would be my very first reaction.
Really? Does it look like an Elise map?
Aesthetically, no, but just in terms of like the general insanity, like Elise is the one who makes by far the most of those. But it's a good point because if this map was made today, would it ever be considered for competitive play? I don't know. It's hard to say yes because it breaks so many rules, right? Like look at that airport.
I know.
Contested airport. Like, yeah. And I mean, the way that maps like this ended up getting into competitive play is that the standards back in the day were much, much lower, and there were very few really good maps. And so people were just like, screw it, let's try it. And they would play on these maps, right?
Maybe we should start doing that
like
more.
This, we should. I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing in Live League to some extent. It's just like throwing a map in and like, looks like it could work. It's not obviously broken.
I feel like that's something that Live League, it's such a refreshing thing, maybe from like just for the scene in general, that you can just throw maps that are like, it looks okay, let's just put it in there, and you know, maybe there is a cheese line or whatever, but because it's live, like people won't notice it, and you get to maybe find, every now and then you'll find a good map. I think it's super cool to have that platform.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing to keep in mind. A map like this that we're looking at, there were probably 50 other maps that looked similarly broken. And they were. Like, there was no happy ending. They were just broken. And through that suffering of people figuring out those maps sucked, we have this one map that's like been great for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
So there's a downside. These days, people are much more vocal about maps that don't work. Like when I was running the first tournament series on the site back in like 2017, 2018, I did the same thing where I just like picked maps that I thought looked okay, looked fun, and threw them in. Kind of the same thing JMB does these days.
True.
And some of them would just break horribly. They'd be HQ cheese. And there were like 50 people mad at me. Jay has like 1,000 people mad at him. So it's much worse for him. The risk of putting a bad map in competition is higher now. There's more visibility.
And Jay keeps doing it. He like gets a lot of people mad, and he like whatever.
Yeah.
He's very.
I respect it.
Resilient. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, I think Jay does a great job selecting maps that are crazy. I mean, sometimes you get Falcon Fields, but there's like one out of 5 or something that are really good.
Yep. I was gonna say, usually you get okay maps. Every now and then you get a complete dud that everyone hates. But you know what? The way I see it is, it brings the community together. It's like having a common enemy, you know? Everyone gets to bond over their hatred of this map. And then you get more activity and people get engaged. Anger is a powerful emotion.
And we also get memes, you know, like Falcon Field is now a map meme.
Yeah, it's good for the community.
Exactly. Okay. Do you want to look at this map?
You want to take a look at this one? I mean, this one doesn't really look less complicated. I think we got baited here.
I am gonna say
that
Daddy Maxax.
He says.
Daddy Maxax does have like a specific how do you call it? Look of the maps.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of forests.
I mean, one of my pet peeves is those little one-tile oceans surrounded by land on 3 sides, like a reverse peninsula. I hate those. They look so bad.
Really?
You will almost never find those on my maps, ever.
What about the shoals? The little in shoals like that?
If it was me, that mountain would be a river.
Why do people not like
okay.
these? I don't understand.
I don't like it. It's too much sand.
Too much sand. Okay.
Maybe I was traumatized at the beach. I don't know.
Maybe. It kind of looks like a mixed base, but it's not.
That's what I was gonna say. You said it's not a mixed base map. It's a simpler map. Like, okay, throw an asterisk on that because it has an airport in the corner for no reason.
Yeah, I just noticed it's like the opposite. Okay, this one's really complicated.
It's like, gotcha, it's not a base, it's an airport, suckers.
Like you have to make an entire... I mean, you probably want to bust it open, artillery. It's gonna take a while.
I think we C-rank this one out of spite.
He said that the name is Keywork because this is like a little key, I guess.
Okay. I still don't like it.
And the key is to unlock the airport. That's why.
Did you just make that up, or is that what he said?
No, I just made it up.
Yeah, this one looks complicated. Can we get a simple map in the chat? An actual simple map?
If anyone has a map, yeah, you can send it. Let's see. Okay, you sent another.
Yeah, someone's suggesting Base Light, suggesting Span Island. Classic map, that one.
Span Island is 100% balanced. It's the best map.
As long as you're playing as player 1.
Exactly. With the extra base. The DS version. Okay. Last chance of the Daddy Maxax.
I'm amazed you gave a third chance for this.
Oh, I remember this one.
It's got a cool name. I like the name.
Is it a reference of some sort?
It probably is. I don't know what it's referring to.
Probably zoom in a little bit. Just notice it's so tiny.
One thing, it's a complete minor detail, but one thing that I always notice on maps like this is you have that neutral lab that's just sitting there near the base. So like just in case someone doesn't know how the day limit rules work for draws, they can just get screwed if they don't capture their lab. Like,
or
just to screw that one person who doesn't know how it works.
Or also for when Kindle's scope gets fixed, gets that extra 3% firepower.
Yeah, you just had to throw that in, huh?
Oh, you know, something that could work for those draws. Just have a lava on the middle, on the very, very middle.
Mm-hmm.
Just have an uneven number of properties.
A lot of the older fog maps, like YWJ was making, he would do that. And he wasn't doing it for day limit, I assume. He was doing it for actual like lab units in the rule set. But that's where like this lab doesn't make any sense for lab units, because you can just capture it. It's like there's no decision. It's not contested or anything. It's just there. So I don't know. Maybe it's just aesthetic, but I just think it's funny because to me it's just like, screw you if you don't know the day limit rules. It'll only ever happen to one person, and that one person will be so mad.
And then they will learn that labs count for day limit.
Yep. And then they'll write a nasty map comment.
Why is there a lab in this map?
All right. So on a serious note,
there's a lot of cities.
Another one of those. It's another standard, just 2 versus 1 base plus airport map. Uncontested towers, relatively safe HQ. I like that this one doesn't have a lot of properties in the center, but it has some routes that you can move through the center. That's usually a good property of maps like this. Capture chains all look pretty good. I mean, it seems like it's pretty obvious that most of the units are going to get wide. And then there's some heavy terrain that's going to break up which way you can send units around. So at a glance, this map looks pretty good. It's enough that, yeah, I would definitely go ahead and move planner it and see how the fronts kind of shake out.
Yeah, probably the most fighting is going to be over here. The middle is like has no value. So no reason to go towards the middle.
And what's interesting about that too is it's not even like, okay, the very middle has no value, but it's not even like there's contestable properties near the middle where units would be kind of close to the middle so they could front shift. Like you have to go way out of your way to front shift on this map, I feel like.
Yeah, I wonder if this property, like, I wonder how contested this property is, and if it's more so like here.
Contested.
Like if the contested.
If you look at the capture chains, the second Blue Moon infantry is going to go to that city, and then it's very natural for it to go to the center after that. Yeah. Orange Star is not going to have any infantry going anywhere near that. Like there's no properties on that side of it that Orange Star would be going for in that time frame.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so this one's going to get captured fast, and then it's just going to move back, or we get this one right here. So all the fighting is going to be like in this area right here.
100%.
Maybe by the time that this guy is done here, maybe this one can be contested if a tank comes in. 2-4.
Well, and keep in mind that because it's the 2 base versus 1 base and this kind of split, that you're going to have more pressure. Like on the right-hand side of the map, you're going to have more pressure coming from the top. Right? So some of those cities that aren't contested early on, they can be capture threats as you move into the mid-game because of that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So even if a map doesn't look like it has contested properties right away, you can kind of overcome that 2 versus 1 base dynamic.
Yeah, my assumption would be that like red is gonna get this, then maybe gets this, and this will be like the most contested area at first. But then once this, like all these infantry are done capturing this, and you get the little infantry flood, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna start capturing this. Start flipping this one. This one will probably be the easiest one to flip. I guess you have the airport here to help out. So there could be some interesting dynamics there. It doesn't reach the city. It does reach this one.
Yeah, I would say that you identified the city, the correct city that's going to get flipped first, and then it might be the city next to it, more towards the HQ direction.
Let's make a tank from here. Ooh, Blue Moon gets just shy 1k from getting the other thing.
This is a really common situation on maps where you have multiple cities within one day capture of the starting bases. It happens a lot. It can be an issue on smaller maps where an artillery can actually like be really useful right away. This map has pretty long capture distances. Like it would never be a live league candidate, but that 8,000 available the turn after building the tank can be a problem. It can also be a problem in situations where like creating a tank chain is really valuable and it's worth base skipping for.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely maps that, like say Blue here makes an artillery, it still is like super strong. Or maybe even like a turn earlier, because sometimes you get that 8k and you can't make the tank, you have to wait another turn, but you can make artillery and then a tank on the other one. So that can be super strong.
What happens pretty often, I shouldn't say pretty often because it's uncommon, but I think what happens sometimes is it's more worth it to build the artillery first, even if you can build the tank. So you build the artillery, then the tank, and then they get toward the front at about the same time, right?
Yeah,
you back up the tank with the artillery immediately, and it's really strong.
You go with a tank attack and artillery behind to like support the tank.
Yep. And on maps where you can do that while also, like if the artillery is pointed at a contested property, that is incredibly powerful. There aren't a lot of maps like that though, because just with how open maps are made these days, the terrain isn't favorable at all for artillery.
So probably defensive. I guess you could make a copter here too.
Yep. Which is honestly, I think you should make a copter here, right?
We can make a tank.
Because you don't have enough for 2 tanks next turn.
Yeah, sure, because you get 3 spares, so it's 13. Yeah, still be copter.
And the anti-air can't immediately counter it, right?
I mean,
like
I guess
the copter just runs away.
Yeah, the copter would be more to like deter the tank for like a turn or two, and then it kind of goes to the other side.
And then you have your tank backing it up by then. I mean, the reason I like building copters early on maps like that, or like this one, is it just gives you another infantry on the one base side, because otherwise you'd have to spend that infantry on a tank. And it's, going to be hard long term to support infantry counts, so that one extra one makes a difference.
Yeah. So you make an anti here.
And this is powerful, right? Because now Orange Star has a tank on the left, and Blue Moon has not countered it at all. Like that first tank almost has to try to like start sliding over, but it's hard to front shift on this map.
So if maybe Blue had done from here,
or even gone out the other way.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 1, 2, 4, 6.
Yeah.
And then it goes 2, 4, 6. It takes a while. Maybe that's the play to go like that. So then you see the copter knight. No, you go here. Yeah, right. Then anti-air comes over here.
Exactly. It's like there's some options there, but it feels kind of bad building a tank on your strong side and then just running it 30 tiles across the map.
Into your weak side.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would feel worse if you had to send your weak side tank to your strong side, but
I guess you can still keep this guy over here, honestly. Like, you go like this, you go 2, 4, 6. Because you have the, oh, I guess no, because this one is one turn behind.
yeah, I was gonna say the anti-air can't quite cover it, so you don't actually have any threats on units. And then you just give up some free hits on your weak side, which is really bad.
So this would be FTA then? Because of the copter?
I don't know if it would be FTA necessarily. It just means blue can't take that line that you just took with the tank. Like, it just gets countered by this line. And I don't think that's necessarily a turn advantage. Like, I think Blue Moon probably could have built a copter at some point as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Let's see. So maybe here. Oh, actually not. Wait, when did Blue Moon make the tank? Right here. No.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of making a tank, you would have to just make infantry and then make a copter.
Right.
No.
But the copter's not even available yet.
Yeah, no, you can't. So it'd be a little bit more delayed actually. Because only here Blue can make a copter. So I guess the other thing would be that to just make a tank here and then you just you just make a copter on this side.
Yeah. And I think that's, well, is that fine?
So say we play it out.
I guess it is because Blue has the tempo with the tank. So it is still BAAB in that case. It's just with the copters instead of.
This tank runs away.
Right.
6, 2, 4, 6. No. 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6.
And that actually is relatively strong, right? If you build the copter and then run your tank over to the other side to counter the other player's potential anti-air quicker, that's not bad. So I think that works out decently. From a turn advantage point of view, I think it's fine. Both players have the same options, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think that chat is frozen. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm gonna try to. Oh, there's a button. There's a button that says refresh chat. Let's do that. Wait, that didn't work. Let me do the other. I can actually make chat a little bit bigger. Increase the font size. There you go. What does BAAB means? It says Arcara.
Good question. I'll let you take that one.
It was on the test of the MCs. What was it? So BAB or ABBA, the A or the B. So the A means player 1 and the B means player 2. And so in the BAAB case that you said, it means player 2, player 1, player 1, player 2, and it's regarding the tank order. So it's like ideally you get player 2 gets the first tank, then player 1 gets the second tank and the third tank, and then the fourth tank is made by player 2 again. And so you don't have that like player 1 gets a tank and then player 2 gets a tank in response, and then player 1 gets another tank and then player 2 gets the other tank in response. And so like player 2 is always catching up to player 1's tanks, or the other way around. It could also be BA, 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 BA. And so
yeah, and it can work out 2 different ways. Like in this map, you can see that it's BAAB and each player has 2 vehicles on one side. So like it's 2 versus 2, or sorry, 1 versus 1. Each person has 1 vehicle on each other map. Sometimes it can happen where you build 2 vehicles on the same side of the map. So like the second vehicle will come from the same side as the first. So then player 2 can chain their 2 vehicles together and have a threat against player 1's 1 vehicle. So
Yeah.
it can work out 2 different ways, but both of them are balanced.
Okay, so now it's getting really messy. Well, actually, this copter.
Yeah, as I say, now you just have an uncontested copter who gets to run around and hit something, right?
Yeah. And this one can't do much, really, I think.
So like the advantage here for blue is that they just keep sliding their tank over. They have the unit composition advantage on this front, right? And now the anti-air they've lost some tempo on their 2 base side, which long term they'll probably recover as long as the map doesn't, as long as the 1 base side doesn't collapse too fast. They have some tempo on the 1 base side, but not the 2 base. It's probably better in general to have tempo on your 2 base side on a map like this, right?
Yeah, in general. Oof, but this copter is really strong.
Yeah, forward airports can be really problematic for stuff like this if the copter can get to the contested areas before the anti-air can counter it. And it also can be problematic if it forces an anti-air in one position and then the copter just runs away and the anti-air can't keep up, so you have to build a second one.
Yeah.
That's really problematic too.
I mean, that's very common, though, in a lot of maps that are in Global League, too. Like,
It's true.
maybe it's more common in mixed base, like that for sure. Like, I think of End of Entropy. Like, a single copter can run around the map in a circle and forces, like, 4 anti-airs or something, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Then in, like,
Usually
non-mixed... Go ahead.
what happens there is usually you just have to counter a copter with a copter.
Yeah.
It's not ideal though.
Yeah, no, it's not. Especially if it's, like, say, in a non-mixed base, and so you're making a copter... Oh, no, actually, no, because the copter would be from your 1 base. So it's harder to really counter a copter with your own copter because it's on the opposite side, for example, here. Unless the airport would be more in the middle, like, say, in Vadum, I think it was called.
So what I would personally recommend, it's something that I kind of thought about earlier on this map when we were first looking at it, but the way that you fix this problem while still having a forward airport is you actually push the airport even further forward. And what that does is it gets captured later, first of all.
So say, like,
So
here.
you don't have to worry, or even where the tower is. So in that case, you don't have to worry about the copter coming out too early to where it's actually contesting properties. And by being further forward, it makes it more vulnerable as well. So that early anti-air might not, like, it won't only zone out the copter, but it also has a threat if it's able to move too far forward of locking the airport completely. And that can be really powerful. Like, it's a little bit counterintuitive because you'd think pushing the airport further forward makes the airport stronger. But in a lot of cases, it actually makes it weaker because it's delayed and then more vulnerable to an anti-air.
True. Yeah, that's a very interesting tip. Yeah, because in a sense, it would be stronger if you're able to secure that area. Like, we gotta go 7. There you go. Got the king of the penguins.
Walker speaks wise words. So close to nothing but W alliteration. So close.
Sword Signature says, how important is tank order? Pretty important. Just because of the balance. So if you have an unbalanced tank order, then it's very, very advantaged for one player. Say it's player 1, then player 2, then player 1, then player 2. Player 1 gets to dictate where the fight takes place. Yeah, like, and player 2 has to always be responding to those tanks, the first tanks from player 1. So it's nice if, like, player 1 gets one, and then player 2 gets the second one to, like, say answer to the first one, and then gets to make the second tank to put pressure somewhere else, and then player 1 gets the next one to respond to that one. Or player 2 could chain the 2 tanks, so it could not only answer to the first tank of player 1, but it could also destroy it and put even more pressure in that area or something like that.
You might also wonder, why don't we consider like infantry, for example? Why isn't there a problem with infantry on a 3-base map? Because one person is always going to have the +1 advantage on infantry, right? Since on a 3-base, you can't have it perfectly split. And the short answer for that, in my opinion, is a lot of times in the early game, if you're using an infantry to attack another infantry, you're giving something up pretty frequently. Usually it's one of your own captures, like you've skipped something and given up a capture to get a hit or whatever. The other reason is because there's usually just so many more infantry that you don't have to worry, like having a +1 advantage on infantry when it's 11 versus 10 doesn't make as much difference as a tank. And the other aspect that makes tanks really important is that the advantage can snowball really quickly. So if you have more tanks in an area, right when the contested properties are being captured, and you can control or disrupt the capture of those properties, that one property advantage, it's hard to overcome that long term. Like that can lead to, it's harder to support with vehicles, and then the advantage kind of snowballs because of that. So tanks are really good, or really important, because they're able to effectively disrupt capture for a long time.
Yeah.
And you don't give up anything to do it.
Tanks are kind of cheap now for what they do.
They're optimal.
They do so much, and they're just
undervalued for sure. Infantry, though, are really undervalued.
True. Well, you mean like underpriced?
Underpriced.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, true. It's funny that in Days of Ruin they upped the price of the infantry, I think. I've never played it, but that's what I've seen on Adija's video. It's like 1,500 for the infantry.
It changes it completely. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if it's better or not, because I haven't played Days of Ruin either. So I guess kind of final thoughts on this map. I think the airport change would help a lot. Otherwise, it's not far off from A rank potential. I would say it doesn't do anything very flashy. Like the fronts are relatively closed. You're going to have kind of a similar type of battle that you would on a lot of other maps, where the 2 base is just slowly going to exert pressure on the 1 base and back it down and break through, and then the HQ capture will take place. So it looks relatively normal in that regard, but I don't see any big issues once the airport TA is taken care of.
Nice. Should we...
So, B rank with potential.
Okay. There should be a separate tag that says like B rank with a little star or something.
I mean, that's the case for a lot of B rank maps. It's like, if you just made 1 or 2 little fixes, it could be A, like B plus rank.
Yeah. And so what's your advice for someone that got a B rank and made a few changes, and it's like, hey, I made a few changes?
Yeah, I mean, normally I would just say throw your map in the design channel and get in a map committee member to take another look at it. It's hard though, because in practice, not that many map committee members are actually moving maps into B rank or A rank. Like that's how we have 1,500 maps in the new category going back like 2 years. And it's exactly like this stream is kind of directly or indirectly showing why that happens, why those build up, because it's not easy to evaluate these maps to like an A rank level. It takes time and effort, and if you get it wrong, people will yell at you. And everyone in map committee can see the log, and they'll sell you out and say, Walker made this an A rank, what was he thinking? And I couldn't tell you what I was thinking because it was 2 years ago. But anyway, so in practice, if you post a map with changes and show it to a map committee member, you're not necessarily going to get it reviewed for A rank. What you really need is if you can show test games on a map that shows that it plays decently well, that helps a lot. And then with Live Leak now, it's kind of like an easier way to throw something in, because really for async formats, like we can A rank a map, but it won't necessarily get used for anything. It won't get proven whether it's really A rank quality or not, because rotations, global league rotations are frequent. Tournaments have only a handful of maps. So Live League is really like, if you're trying to get a map played on as an A rank map, highly recommend making it compatible with Live, because there's a much higher chance right now that it's actually going to get used for something.
Yeah, and then you get all that data. You get to see how the players play it, even low level, mid level, high level. You get a little bit of everything, and yeah, it's super cool.
It's really nice to have that option. Shout out to Steeler.
Yeah, Steeler, our hero. Okay, do you want to look at any other map, or should we call it a day? What do you think?
If you can go to the search and go back up to the actual search bar, and you can uncheck the new and standard, and you can get rid of the map size. And then under creator, type in HUMITA, and let's hit that search button.
You want to look at one of my maps? Oh no.
The only thing worse than being roasted on stream is roasting yourself on stream. Wait. Go back up to the search options and do first published for the sort criteria. Let's take a look at this.
I mean, I've been deleting a lot of maps, but I think this was actually my first map.
Wow. Pretty good.
Like, I had just joined the site, and I was like, I want a world map.
See, it's funny because you're like a veteran now, right? And you have exactly one map that has made it out of the new category.
Wait, really?
No,
I have
in
another.
almost 2 years on the site. Oh, you have a second one too.
But I have no A ranks. I only have Neo, B, or C. I think I've deleted a C or 2.
Oh, so it's all the fog ranks, all the fog maps. Those are the ones that got moved out, huh?
This one got C ranked.
Wow, let's take a look at it.
This one?
Yeah, let's see what a C rank map committee map looks like.
It was supposed to be Fog of War, but it is very choky. I mean, it is 2-base though. And the gimmick was
fog. I can kind of see it.
Yeah, the gimmick was the little landers. I'm not sure what I was thinking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was to like boost medium tanks. So they would get like an extra tile.
Wow, the medium tank buff.
I think that was the whole
that we don't
thing.
see very often. And someone on the map committee said this gimmick's stupid and gave it a C rank.
Oof, that airport is horrible. It's so way in the back. I don't know. At the beginning, I was just doing that. I was just like putting airports way in the back. Super weak.
I mean, I can understand that if you're relatively new to map making, because you don't want to put like an airport in a spot where it's overpowered and causes problems, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like safer to just put it in the back where it won't cause problems.
So what I'm gonna guess why it got C ranked is because there's this forest tile, C tile, forest tile, double forest tile here. It's like the corner is impossible. It's a fortress. You put an artillery here, or even behind it. It's like it can get really stally.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee the reason this was C ranked. Look at the cities along the center line. They're so defensible that it'll be very hard to turn them. And then you have a ton of forests.
Yeah, you got artillery log here, artillery log. Like this one logs both of them.
Not just forests, you have a ton of forests near the center line bordering heavy terrain. Like, good luck. Like bordering the C tiles. Have fun breaking that wall. C tile, forest, fort. Good luck.
Oh, it is, yeah. Yeah. Definite C rank. Okay.
That's why I got C rank.
Let's.
I was looking at it for standard. I was like, for standard, that's harsh. It's probably a B rank for standard.
This would be a B rank percent. Okay.
It would be like a low B rank, but because it's base light, I think it'd be fine.
I think the airport should be open though. Maybe get rid of the lander gimmick. It makes no sense. It's just gonna be the annoying little thing, the idle unit thing. I always hate that.
You don't like nerfing Rachel?
Oh, even worse. Nah, we need more Rachel viability. More Rachel, more Lash. They're so underused. It's always Kindle, Drake, and Fog. A few Andys in there.
On base light, Rachel's probably already pretty decent. So.
Yeah.
I know
Sort
people
of.
love Kindle. I get it.
I mean, Kindle's just really strong, to be honest. Like when you're playing, she's so flexible. You have so many tools.
Disc says that he or she thinks that reading maps is the hardest part of AWVW, so props to the MC members. I mean, the simple truth is that reading a map by just barely glancing at it, if the map isn't very good, it's easy. Like, it's really easy to tell whether a map is low B rank or C rank just by looking at it. You don't need to do very much. Once a map is like mid B rank to A rank potential, I mean, you can tell that at a glance, but you can't gratify it further than that without literally just either seeing games or opening the move planner. So like, I'm not that good at reading maps. I'm really good at using the move planner and knowing what to look for. So like, maybe it's the same thing, knowing what to look for when you're planning out a capture phase or something and where the problems are. But it's not, most map committee members can't just like look at a map and be dead accurate and say, this one is going to work and this one isn't, if they're both above low B rank quality. In my experience, maybe like Voice of Akasha can, because he's good at everything.
Voice of Akasha is good at everything. How? Guys,
it's born that way.
The best player and makes amazing maps.
I mean, they're related, right? Like when you can read the game to a certain depth, like you have that level of visualization, and then you can apply that to maps. Like you can kind of visualize how the terrain is going to affect the battles. And like once you know what to look for, what sort of things you're trying to encourage, it kind of flows naturally.
True.
The difference, I think, is a lot of top players just don't have a lot of interest in learning that aspect of map making because they're focused on like playing the game and winning and stuff, which is totally fair. But I think most top players could be good map makers if they wanted to be.
I feel like there's a sort of natural timeline of players that they play a lot, they get really good, they become like top players, and then they kind of like retire into mapness. Yep. I mean, not really retire, but they like start to like try new things, and so I think it's really cool because they already come with a lot of knowledge of how the map is gonna play out just from being a good player. But it's just a funny trend.
Straight from Humida himself, everyone who's in map committee is washed up.
I just think it's funny because we have, I think Starflash has started to make new maps. Rip is now trying to make maps. I saw Reimer making a few maps as well. We got even Habits also making maps now. He's been a map committee since forever, but only now started making maps.
Though it's funny because all of those players are Fog players, and I mean, okay, a lot of them play multiple modes, but a lot of them are really well known for being good at Fog. And I think at some point, like, you just get tired of playing on maps that you don't like in a certain mode, and you're like, fine, I'll do it myself.
True.
Which is respectable. I respect that a lot.
It is true that Fog does need a little bit of a revamp, of a shake-up of the maps, no? I think it makes sense.
Fog is just hard. It's just really hard.
Fog is fun. Like,
let's be clear. The problems with Fog are not necessarily problems with Fog of War itself. The problem is that the terrain types in Advanced Wars 2, and I guess probably all of the Advanced Wars, are just really not meant for Fog. Like, why do we have a hidden unit mechanic that is also the only terrain tile that has 2 defense, and also the only terrain tile that most vehicles have hindered movement over, like delayed movement? Like, why did we do that? We didn't have enough memory on the GBA or something to add more terrain? Come on.
It's so annoying,
Like-
it really. Like the forest has
Like-
so many features.
Dude, that's why fog sucks. Like, if you, okay, I'm being kind of flippant, because fog doesn't suck. I know a lot of people like it. That's one of the problems with fog, fundamental to the game.
We're trying to
is that
fix
forests
fog,
are just
Walker.
like- Yeah, dude, if it was me, like, if we were designing a game from scratch, forests would be split into 2 different terrain tiles, and neither of them would allow you to hide units.
Wait,
Just like mountains are broken.
would you just like never have a tile that can hide units?
I hate hidden units as a mechanic, both as a dev and also as a player. I think it's a terrible mechanic. It just creates stalemates, right? Like, it's already hard enough to attack and get KOs. So why do we want a tile where the whole gimmick is you need 3 units to get a 2-hit KO? It's terrible.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
That's my take.
I'm
Just like
thinking
mountains giving vision and high defense is terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is true. Yeah, we need like the opposite. We need low defense tiles that give more vision, or like low defense tiles that maybe make you invisible, like forest. But not the other way around.
Yep.
Not that they give defense and are OP in fog. It's just
Yep. Like, and even if they didn't make units invisible, they would still be a problem for general terrain because they're combined high defense, movement impeding tiles. Like, yeah.
yeah.
See, now I get myself in trouble because we've got people in the chat saying, you know, add more tiles,
We
add
need
more tiles.
Walker said we need more tiles.
You have the power. You're a dev. You should do it.
Press the button, Walker.
Maybe someday in rebalance mode, when and if that ever becomes a reality, we'll add a new terrain tile.
The rebalance mode. Imagine.
So that's how I would fix fog.
Okay, what do you think about my latest attempt of a fog map?
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to you bringing it up. Yeah, this is the one you showed this concept, right? And you decided that you didn't like it and you remade it.
Yeah, so this is the rework. This was the original one. I'm not sure which one you had liked more. It was the original one, but it like kind of used up too much space back here, so I kind of like pushed back the bases and created this little black boat thingy. I thought it was interesting. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know anything about fog. I thought the first one looked okay. I think this one looks pretty good too.
I did a little move planner, and it kind of becomes a little bit clogged here. There's something about the comm tower timing maybe that is a little bit off.
I was going to ask if the comm towers work like that next to the ocean tile, or if it makes it too hard to attack into, especially if the mountain's so close.
It's a little bit clogged. I think I can't remember which one caps it. If it was, I think this player tries to cap it and really wants to keep it, but this force is really strong. Like, this stream of units is very, very strong, and it kind of like stops here at the HQ.
I really like maps that give an option to send units forward quickly, like with the black boat, or even a lander sometimes. But I really like that because it's I think a more natural take on the quick infantry, slow vehicle routes, as opposed to what you see in a ton of fog maps that people made, where like you just have a river and there's a bridge with a mountain on the other side, and then the infantry can cross over the mountain and the tanks have to go for like 3 turns through forests along the river. I think this is a more natural way of doing it.
I mean, kind of is here. Like, the tanks are like, or like that way, but then they reach.
I mean, that mountain tile that you threw next to the shoals in front of the base is kind of a troll move.
Well, it's so that the infantry can walk over, but
The
I'm not sure
river
what you
tile.
would replace it with.
Staring right at you. River.
A river.
For sure.
Well, but then you have the
yeah.
people saying, oh, but the river looks very similar to a sea tile.
That's true.
Actually, the
That's a
black
fair
mode
point.
idea was Rizo's idea. And I was like, I like it.
Hmm.
So you go 2, 4. Oh, and actually 2. So this is like 7 tiles in this show. This was 8, so a little buff to Sammy or Drake, whatever. But my problem with that map when I move planned it was that my idea was for this space to be contested, but it really isn't. It's more like this space is contested because this stream is really strong, and so this mountain falls under control of red here. Like this airport is super strong. It just goes like that, and it controls this. The plan of the sea tiles was to give that extra attack tile for the copters, really.
I was gonna ask, how problematic are early copters on a map like this? Like we looked at the one earlier where the copter can just go into the center. In fog, does that matter as much? Or is it too risky to try to attack something with an early copter? Just send it out into the dark?
I think copters are not that good in fog, just because you don't see what they have, and they if they happen to counter it, it's just like, okay, GG, kind of. It's very uncommon to see a very early anti-air, but even just a counter copter, because the copters here can be made so quickly too, I wouldn't risk to interrupt with a copter onto an infantry, for example. I would only like have the copter to attack a tank.
I was almost wondering, not even so much attacking an infantry because you're worried about an anti-air, but it's like it tells your opponent, it gives them that information, right? They have a copter, that you have a copter, and where it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
How valuable is that information to you? Like, is that worth delaying a city for 2 days, 3 days? Tell them that you have a copter?
Yeah, probably not, because then you can just move plan their capture phase and everything, and you'll probably see like, oh, they have a copter, then they probably don't have a tank on this side, I'll go and attack it. Yeah, it's also, I mean, yeah, there's that, and the aspect of maybe getting wrecked by a counter copter of some sort. That's why it's just infantry, tanks, recons. But I feel like I have to.
And that's where, like, just to make it a more broad point, it's interesting how certain concepts like that work in some modes and not in others. I mean, we haven't even talked about high funds, which is its own completely different beast. But like, if this was a standard map, that airport would probably cause GA, turn advantage. Like, it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You would probably have to throw that airport in the back in the corner where the city is in the mountains for it to work in standard. But in fog, you can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, the little details like that change between modes. And honestly, that's one thing that I think makes it hard to design maps for all modes. Because you kind of feel like get in these habits of, oh, this is about where the airport should go, and this is where my city should be, and they should chain like this. And when you do it for a different mode, it just becomes like the rules change slightly.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I don't even know how to make a high funds map. That's like whole other beast that I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, we shouldn't even get into it because it's whole other topic.
Maybe on another stream.
High funds maps are fun to make, but yeah, talk about complexity. It gets hard.
I mean, there you don't have a tank order, right? You don't look at funding that much.
Dude, there's high funds maps I've made where it was Neo-Tank order that mattered. Like, it's just, there's so many more options. Yeah, the rules for high funds are not well developed. I'd say the meta isn't well developed enough to have rules like that for the maps. Because map making, like, really you're responding to the meta to some extent, right? Like, if players decided that in fog having information wasn't valuable, then that might change things like this copter positioning. Like, if it was just decided that it was worth it to hit the capturing infantry.
Yeah.
So, like, understanding the meta is important, and that's why top players have a better chance, because they kind of drive them. But not to say that other players can't also learn those rules. It's just harder to develop it intentionally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you don't have to be a good player to be a good mapper, and to be
but it makes it easier.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, and the other way around as well. Like, if you are a good mapper, then you probably are a very decent player. Maybe not a top player, but you just understand how map kind of plays out, or just like balance wise as well.
For me, I think the fact that I've done map making for so long has actually made me a worse player in some regards, because I'm really good at capture phases and really bad at everything else. Like, I've trained that one muscle of map making so much. My planning initially is really good, and then it just all falls apart after that.
That's probably the main thing with mappers. They're very good at the early capture phase and opening, and then when it comes to mid game and tactics, it's kind of like too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Like, I haven't trained for this. I stopped move planning at this point when I'm evaluating a map. Well, I think that was a nice nightcap. Take a look at some Humida maps.
Yeah, my attempts of fixing fog.
Valiant attempts.
See if I had... Oh, you're probably gonna laugh at this one. It's probably one of my more gimmicky ones.
Wow, the triple lander start.
Just like a standard format, but yeah, I just went throwing shoals all over the area, being like, oh yeah, you can drop off stuff. I think I had counted a few that were better if you had 7 tiles or not, but it is all over the place. I don't think I even move planned this one.
You know what's crazy is when you look at the map, how many cities are within 2 tiles of the center line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
14 cities.
This would be Kindle Tier 1.
It's just like, oh, there's some cities on the sides and then just a band cities.
Yeah. Like, you own the middle and you win. When did I do this? Oh, this was September. It was just like 2 months since I had joined the site.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny map because like the map is what, 20 by 20, but the actual effective size, because you have the landers, is like actually like a 10 by 20.
True.
So it's actually a very small map. It just looks big.
Yeah, it kind of like shrinks the map just because of these little landers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably more of an aesthetic and like the mechanical landers thing that I wanted to do. But yeah, I just abandoned it. And there was actually a Z game on it once. I was like, what? That's cool.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks, besides the cities all being in the middle, like I like that you made the drop-off terrain a little bit better on one side than the other. Like for the port, for example, the pickup terrain rather. So like the port over there is actually worse for dropping units off further up. So you get like a little bit of imbalance between the drop-off locations. Like there's some bones here to a map that could work.
I don't know.
It just needs some refining.
I mean,
It's like a mid to low B right now, I would say, just from looking at it.
yeah, probably a C rank though.
It's like, it's better than a C rank. I mean, maybe like standards are always going up, right? So
Yeah.
maybe in like 2 years, we'll have so many B rank maps that are better than it. We would just call this C rank. That's usually how it works.
Yeah. Probably.
And then no one actually goes back and recategorizes them.
It's true though. There's like a million cities here in the middle. That's very funny.
Yep. And then cruisers on the HQ, because why not?
Exactly. I was like, why not? I think my initial idea was a carrier. Because, again, why not? And then decided, I'll just make a cruiser so as to deter like copters, but
the cruiser can't actually move, so
yeah, like what is it gonna do?
doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Well,
What is it ranked right now? Is this in new?
it's ranked as new. Yeah, I'll put it as.
Are you gonna give it the honor?
Should I put it as C rank?
If it was me, I would give it B rank, but I'm always harder on my own maps too. If it was my map, I would give it a C. But if it was your map, I would give it a B rank. Just depends how much self-pity you want to have for yourself.
Nah, I'm gonna put a C rank because
Not proud of it.
It needs
huh?
a lot of work. Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever move planned this map, so I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And to be clear, for anyone listening or watching this, you do not need to move plan your map in order to get a B rank. You can make perfectly good B rank maps and never touch the move planner.
I mean, you have to
also
be really
make,
good.
you have to know what you're doing. But you can also make A rank maps by never touching the move planner. The trick is you have to make like 500 maps.
Have you ever made an A rank map without move planning?
I think you can just probably get rid of the A rank part of that sentence, and it's the same answer.
So have you made?
So no, definitely not.
Do you know of anyone that has made an A rank without move planning? It seems kind of hard though.
Oh yeah, LNF has made tons, but he's made like 1,000 maps.
Oh, he doesn't move plan his maps.
Oh, he makes like, when he's map making, he makes like 15 maps a day. He's like 15 minutes. There's a map. Hey Walker, it's your problem to deal out to figure if this actually works.
And
You
on
gotta
his
deal with
phone
this.
also. He makes the maps on his phone.
Crazy. Crazy. That's why I referred to this in the map committee chat. I'm gonna leak some secrets. But I referred to having to go through and classify LNF's maps as being an LNF hell. Because there's so many of them, and you can't tell if they're good or not from first looking at them. Like, they're good, you can't tell if they're A rank or B rank, and so you have to go through the move planner. And like, it takes me longer to go through the move planner to figure out if one of his maps is A rank than it took him to make the map. So like, you can never catch up. That's LNFL.
That's funny.
Welcome, little insight into the map committee. You're welcome.
Here, Elias is saying if we can look at one of his maps. Rio Hirata. Is it really a small map?
This is going to be like a one base.
Let's
Let's look at the preview and then decide if it's a trick or not.
Oh. What's the... I'll just take out the creator.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many maps named that.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought this was.
The asymmetric one. Well, what do you think of this?
Mm-hmm. I think it's... there's no chance it works. 0% chance.
Isn't the income so low that it's like much better for player 2? Like, what is player 1 gonna do with the airport? The income is so low. You're gonna make one compliment.
Two bases is always gonna be one base in an airport. Okay, I shouldn't say always, because I saw an LNF map where he battleship locked a base. Like, that base is probably not very good. But
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. It's a fog map.
yeah. But in this case, there is no way that this is not a player 2 massive advantage.
Yeah.
This
SDA.
map looks like something that someone would have made in like 2005. And even then, they would have been like, this is imbalanced. We can't use this for anything.
Wasn't there some asymmetric maps used competitively back then?
That's a good question. Maybe. Competitively is, all relative, because there weren't really any competitions. But there were definitely people playing a lot of games on asymmetric map. Like, this isn't the worst map that I've seen. That's about the best thing I can say about it.
Massive SDA here.
Yeah, at least you're thinking about Alora River, A-L-O-R-A River. That's probably the most played bad map on the site. Yep, top one.
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
This map has so many games, and it's actually, yeah, it is asymmetric. It has so many games that it makes no sense.
It has no contested cities whatsoever.
Click view games.
Oh wow, look at that. 1,500 games. That's insane.
Can you imagine?
2006.
It even has a game this year. Look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't even know how people are finding this map 2024. Crazy.
I mean, I wish I could click on one of them and watch the match, but they're all still gone.
Too old. I mean, I don't think you're missing much. But yeah, this is like a 2006 era map.
Yeah, it's 2006. There's no
This-
contested city. What do you do here?
Hey, it's got an FTA counter though. It's got that going for it.
True. There's a
Does
little
it
guy
work?
going there.
Definitely not, but
And look, you get to make people happy with possible naval warfare.
yep, that's
No.
right. If it had a shoal next to that port, immediate trash map. Zero
Exactly.
games.
You would never see 1,500 games on it just because of that show. Forget about it.
Also, I just want to note, if you look at the map rating, this map in 168 ratings is a 7.2. You will be hard pressed to find a global league map that has a rating that high in that many ratings. It probably doesn't exist. Like, according to our user base, this map is better than every single global league map that has ever existed.
No way. Let's see. Map list. Is he chosen? He like chosen?
Do it through search maps. You can see them really quickly.
Oh,
See, look at that. Yep, better than Chosen Reservoir.
so let's see.
If you just select Global League.
2v2, Global League.
Yep.
Do you
and
have?
just search. No, it's fine.
How do you do
You
the?
can check. You can click Standard or whatever if you want, but right now it'll just pull up all of the Global League maps for every mode.
Oh, and then you just scroll like this. Look at that.
7.23. It's only 60 ratings though. It has time to go down.
Shadows.
7.2.
Lots of fives. Lots of 6.
I'm telling you,
Wow.
any map that managed to get over 100 ratings is going to be like under a 7, guaranteed. A Hope Forlorn, 6.96.
Look at that. Look at that. 10. 10 out of 10.
Look at that. Who's the creator on that one? Wow.
1 vote.
Wasn't me, I promise. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of 5s and 6s. If you get down to the fog maps, those are all the ones that are under 5.
I mean, do you really
So,
use
yeah.
the ratings as a metric? Like, or has it ever been a metric?
I think we should probably put Allura River back into Global League and give the people what they want, right?
Just put the highest
No,
rated maps.
It's never been a metric.
Whoa.
3.92.
Whoa. What?
If you look at X Fog of 4 maps, it's even worse. Like, I think there's 2 maps that I had that were in Fog League, and they ended up with like 3.1, 3.3. Brutal. Fog
This
is
is
tough.
actually a really good fog map. Oh well.
So you say, I'd rather play on the Laura River.
Where's our little Aloha River? There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Now
Now-
that's a 7 plus.
Now make it fog.
I think it works just as well in Fog as standard, honestly. I see no difference.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, good times. Originally,
2006.
there used to be a map committee rating. So like there'd be a separate rating that only calculated what map committee members gave the map. And when we implemented it, it was going to be this great idea so people could actually tell what maps were better than others with a number rating. And then it turned out that it's really hard to rate a lot of maps. So just every map had a 0 for map committee rating, and it was completely worthless, and we removed it.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you already have the ranks. I guess maybe you didn't have that.
Yeah,
So you just
we did. It's just there weren't so many categories. We did. I think it was like C rank didn't exist, so it's like SAB. But even then, it's like, is there really a need to rank a map or to rate a map if it's under a 6 out of 10?
yeah
So
exactly.
you're just being kind of mean at that point.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's some other maps like this one that have way more games than they should, but Allura River is the best example of a horrible map that has an absurd game count.
Was it ever on any like, I don't know, competitive thing, or it just
It
happens
might
to
have
be?
been. Go to view games again and look at the very first games.
Maybe it was thrown in a tournament or some sort.
Or it's just the creator spamming games. Go to like page 28. Yeah, classic like poopy chicken.
Yeah, it's just like
It looks
casual
like-
games.
I think some of these. Well, keep in mind that any tournaments would have just been hosted by people casually. So like some of those where it's like player A versus B in the title, those might have been tournament games, like informal tournaments. It wouldn't surprise me if in like 2006 this map was used in tournament.
This one maybe.
Yep. And if you go up, one of the titles was Inter-Site Tournament Practice, which makes me think that it was used in like some tournament going on between AW, BW, and one of the other sites. Yeah,
Oh,
there
look
you
at
go.
that. Wow.
So it might have been like if you look after this, maybe there were some tournament games. But the one time you could blame the map if you lost.
So then you have a lot
Yeah,
of verses.
Day 78. Sheesh.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I like how you see the starting funds on some of these too. 30,000, 10,000. Like
Yeah.
this was AWBW in 2000. Like this is what's going on.
Were you playing at that time?
I was around in 2005, 2006. But I wasn't involved in like the community at all. I was just making stupid fun games and playing with my friends.
Did you play Alara River?
I hope not.
You don't remember?
I couldn't tell you. I've probably played worse maps than the Laura River. Yeah.
Is it true that it used to be just, I mean, from seeing the map, I would assume yes, but it was just like infantry, artillery, spam, and just
100%.
grind through.
100%. I mean, what else could you even do on that map?
Yeah, exactly.
Simpler times. It was definitely simpler times.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't expect to go on a trip down memory lane.
True. Well, it's always nice.
I mean, I don't know if this one was nice. It just reminds you that sometimes the past is worth. We've come a long way.
We've come a long way, yeah.
Like, for everyone who says map committee sucks, they don't know what they're doing. This is the alternative. We could have been stuck here forever.
I mean, I think it's crazy that it's been 2 hours and 40. Say like we spent 2 hours maybe actually evaluating maps. And we only looked at like 5 maps.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes
And I
a
mean,
lot
we're
of time.
going through it and talking about it, whatever, but it doesn't take that much less time if you're really looking at the map carefully.
Yeah.
It's time consuming. And just to be clear, every map that we looked at in this stream, except for this one and Elise's one base map, the asymmetric one, every one that we analyzed, like those are good maps. I wouldn't have a single problem about recommending someone play on those maps for a fun game. They'd be great. They could have been like back in 2010 to 2012, they would have been competitive level maps.
Yeah,
We
there's
just
a
have
lot of
very high standards.
Yeah, for sure. But I also feel like the level has gone up for sure. Like new people getting into map design, and they can
Yeah.
more easily come up with a map that is decent. You know, it works, and it's just a matter of finding those details, whether it's broken on one side or the other, or maybe just like you were saying, maybe push the airport all the way to the corner so it creates more dynamic, or the HQ. There's like tiny little details that will actually make it an A rank, which is crazy because also when you're the map creator, it's hard to see maybe.
100%, and it's hard to see without a game. One nice thing is that you have so many good examples of maps that you can base your ideas off of. So like the floor of what a map is that you're going to see on the site is much higher. Like if these were the only maps on site and you came, even if you were like a great player, you wouldn't be able to make like Hope Forlorn from this. You know what I mean? You need good examples to kind of iterate to get to where we are.
Yeah, for sure. Well, wait, isn't Caustic Finale like 2008?
Isn't that crazy? 2007, I think.
Wow.
There was a lot of progress though between this start of 2006 and like middle 2007.
Oh.
Yeah, Elise is asking, what do you think about cap size? That's my map, so I'm biased. I like it. I think it's cool. It's probably horribly broken, but I think it's cool.
Oh, it's not working.
It's not in Global League, I think.
Oh, I thought... Oh, like this is just current Global League maps? I thought it was just like historically. Oh. 2008. At the end of 2008.
Okay, you're right.
So,
yeah, so like those 2 years, they came a long way.
And Voice of Akasha came to save the day, save the site.
To be clear though, I think this is like the only map from before 2010 that has made it and stood the test of time. So like you're looking at the only survivor.
Isn't Darkling Threshold also?
No, that was 2010.
Oh wow.
Like
Yeah.
there were other really good maps made before 2010, but I don't think they've stood the test like Caustic has. That's like maybe if you look at Shadows Chase You Endlessly, maybe that one.
Yeah, I think that one also.
Might be 2009, but even then I think that one's actually 2010. Scorpion Operation is another one, super old map that might be.
Oh, you're right,
Yeah,
2010. Wow.
Scorpion Operation might be earlier. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about just a couple of maps from tens of thousands that actually made it.
Look at that.
Barely.
Barely 2009, just by a week. Oh, wait. No, actually, that one's the original one, which he redid in 2015. And this is the one that we know. And the one from 2009 has... Oh, wait. Oh, never mind.
No, he redid it. He redid it in 2015 because he didn't like the way the original played. And then everyone was like, no, the original was better. We don't like this redo.
Yeah, I would say this is probably worse. This valley closed off. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, he cut off the airport. So you can't
yeah.
just send tanks that way. And yeah. I mean, this is another map, don't get me wrong. I have no idea how this map actually works. It breaks so many rules.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say this one in Caustic Finale also, like if you were to get this map today, like as a brand new map, you could say a lot of things about it.
I wouldn't blame a map committee member if they just took a look at this and they were like, yeah, this is probably C rank. There's no way this works.
C rank.
And
wow.
It's actually really hard for me. I try to keep that in mind. Like when I look at a map, this happens with LNF and iLease maps all the time. I'll look at the map, I'll be like, wow, it broke 6 different rules. This is probably a C rank. And then I think to myself, Scorpion Operation, Shadows Chase You Endlessly, Darkling Threshold, like these are also maps that broke all the rules. Like maybe this is the one that will actually work. And then I give it my time and then it ends up broken. But maybe someday.
Well, I mean, also you named like 4. There's maybe a few more, and that's like 12 years worth of maps. You know, like there's gonna be one. There's gonna be one every year that breaks the rules and still works. You know.
Yeah, we only looked at the examples who made it, right? Survivorship bias.
Exactly. Even if you look at
well,
Caustic.
anyway, I probably got to be heading off. I'm sure it's late too.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I was gonna say.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man, for being here. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a good time too, and hopefully maybe we can do this again if you're down. Maybe over the
I'd be
weekend,
down.
because I've heard people complain about the time we were doing it.
Look, I'm busy, all right? This is not Umida's fault. He gave me like a lot of forewarning, and I was like, this is the only day I can do, man, and it's got to be at this time.
Yeah, it's fine. It was honestly a good time, and a good first run too. So we can definitely
Yeah.
try to arrange for another one some other time. So yeah,
We spent an hour and a half talking about maps and an hour and a half shooting the shit.
exactly.
Kind of talking about maps.
What a best way to spend your Wednesday afternoon / night.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Okay, man. Have a good one. I hope you probably gonna have dinner, so
Yeah,
have a good dinner. I'll
Thanks.
talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.